At Arizona State University, we've made online education better, smarter, and more personalized so you can go further in your aspiring field.
I decided to pursue medicine once I realized that ASU did have the online program for biological sciences. You're still required to learn the same curriculum. You're still being tested on the same content that anyone would be tested on in person. The comprehensiveness of the program prepared me so well for medical school.
Explore over 350 plus programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Aptitude, expertise, genius, gift.
I'm the fucking talent. Hey, what's happening, Mike Schmidt, 40-Year-Old Boy Podcast. Let me ask you a question, folks. Did you know that Treetop Applesauce is the official applesauce of the Colorado Rockies baseball team? It's true. I got to be honest with you, I've been a baseball fan my entire life. I did not know anyone needed an official applesauce. I've been to many ballparks, and never once have I seen a vendor come down and be like, applesauce here. Get your minced apples. Treetop. Who wants some treetop? Here, here, here. I wanted to tell you this all summer because I was listening to baseball in the car as I drove my life away like Eddie Rabbit. He listened to the reggae and time on the radio. Gotta keep it rolling. Got the windshield wipers tapping out of tempo, keeping with the pace of the song on the radio. Whoa, how am I doing that? Look, that's when you've been in the car too long. When you know the lyrics to an Eddie Rabbit song. Although, I have to be honest, those have been in my brain since I was a fucking kid. Look, Eddie Rabbit doesn't leave you. He stays with you. He gets right into your fucking core. Right into my genes. If they did a DNA splice on me right now, I would be part chocolate bar, part Eddie Rabbit lyrics. How fucking weird would that be? I don't even know any of his other songs. I know that there's that one that's, ooh, I'm driving my life away, looking for a better way. Oh, me. Why am I doing this to you guys? I'm so sorry. Treetop Applesauce, the official applesauce of the Colorado Rockies. And I should have done more research. Again, now that I'm bringing you this fact, I probably should have looked to see if there are other Major League Baseball teams that have official applesauces. What if everybody has a sauce? What if we go that route? What if Colorado has applesauce? Hey, Contadina, the official tomato sauce of the Los Angeles Dodgers. That would be, I guess, although, you know, the Dodgers also have some fucked up ads. There's a Jacoby & Myers, which is an ambulance chasing lawyer outfit out here. Literally, it's like, hey, does your hair hurt? Give us a call. We'll sue your boss. Jacoby & Myers. But they've somehow hitched their wagon to the Dodgers. But even worse than that, the Dodgers have allowed them to hitch their wagon to the Dodgers, which I don't fucking get. Like, if you're the Dodgers, wouldn't you want to be... And look, you need all the money you can because you're giving Shohei Ohtani a fucking $1 billion. And that's not even like a stretch. It's $700 million. Although... I think I might have talked this, spoken... I don't know. I have no idea what I've talked to you about. I do shows so infrequently. But when they signed Ohtani, they deferred half, like all of his salary for 8 years or something like that. And then they owe him $700 million, some balloon payment or something. And I think I may have said this before, but I think that was smart of the Dodgers, because if you take a look at what's going on, who knows if there's a country in 8 years, right? You just win a bunch of fucking World Series, and then in 8 years, you're like, man, I hope shit catches on fire because we don't want to give this guy any money at all. And Shohei's just like, yeah, no problem, I can do that. And I guess flee to Japan with whatever he's made up to that point because he's not getting the balloon payment. Because, look, nothing against the Dodgers. I think they'll still be a fluent enterprise. Fluent? Solvent? Solvent is the word I'm looking for. The NT threw me there. They'll be solvent, I think, the Dodgers, but also at the same time, if they want to tell Ohtani, hey, buddy, yeah, we're pocketless. Because I don't know if you know this, this is a trend that's happening all over the world right now. And not just with people. People have been doing it for a while. You know, people will be like, hey, man, I don't have any money. And someone goes, hey, you owe me like $40. And they go, yeah, that's interesting. I don't have any money. Good luck. Well, now, maybe this isn't new. Maybe it's just me finding it out because it's finding its way into the industries that I enjoy. But baseball is this now. The Major League Baseball, there are teams that have contracts with broadcasting entities, like groups of, sports networks, like the Bally Sports Network or Diamond Sports, like all these different places. And what they'll do is and they've done it certainly for years, they've been like, you know what? They just throw money out there like they're fucking the Monopoly guy, right? There's like, hey, everybody who wants a bunch of cash so we can show your games to people. So they sign these broadcast deals with because again, the Yankees carry their own bullshit, the Dodgers carry their own bullshit. These are the Cadillacs of the Major League Baseball teams. However, if you're the Miami Marlins, you're like, please, Bally, carry our games so someone can watch us. Someone out there needs to see. I can't even name a player. Like literally, I was going to make because they traded Brian De La Cruz. That's a guy that I knew. They traded Luis Ariz. I don't remember the name of the kid. Xavier Edwards. There you go. We need people to see Xavier Edwards in action because he's very exciting and he steals bases. And the Bally Sports Network is like, all right, well, we'll pay you this much. And it's certainly not as much as the Yankees would get because it's the fucking Florida Marlins and nobody cares. I know it's the Miami Marlins. Get off my dick. Not that it matters. Nobody even fucking goes. Nobody even knows that exists. I get to imagine like people, half the people who show up at the Miami Marlins game walk up to the front, like where the tickets are, and then they go, hey, we just need directions. We're looking for a good brunch spot in the neighborhood. And the Marlins are like, you want to come in and watch some Major League Baseball? And they're like, I got to be honest with you. 2 of those words don't belong in that 3-word phrase. You might have baseball, not sure about Major League. And then these people go off and they have huevos rancheros somewhere. Oh no, I guess it's more of a Hispanic man. What's a Cuban breakfast food? What do they have in Cuba for breakfast? Dirt. They don't have any fucking money. They make ropas viejas, right? Is that a thing? And then they make the Cuban sandwich. I know all that. And then plantains. Oh, I'll tell you what, the Cubans love their plantains. There's a place called Porto's here. It's like a Cuban bakery. They love their guava. Get a little guava action. Guava and plantains. Those are some gummy fruits. Is plantain a fruit? Really? It's kind of like a... You know what it is? It's like a fuck you banana. That's what a plantain is. I love bananas and I love plantains. But if you were like, hey man, I totally want a banana, and you bit into a plantain, and be like, oh, fuck you. That's not a banana. And it's like, right, exactly. That's sort of a fucking hard root that resembles a banana. But then you cook it, and if you caramelize a plantain, oh my goodness. But I mean, you could caramelize a foot and eat the fuck out of it. Nobody cares. If you caramelize anything, seriously, throw something in a pan with fucking, sugar and fucking syrup and like cook it for 4 hours. You'll eat anything. It doesn't matter. Fucking fish, caramelized fish. Well, that's more of a Vietnam thing. That's more of not a Cuban thing. Ow, fuck, ow, god damn it. Sorry, ow. I sit in a rolly chair, which was a gift from the lovely Ann Zill, and there's wheels on the bottom of it. So as I sit here, my feet, I'm kicking them under the table because I'm an infant. I'm a child. Look, I'm laying on my back. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm laying on my back. I have a stocking cap on and a t-shirt. That's all I have on. And undergarments, clearly. I don't want to say, because I didn't want to say diaper because that would be what a baby would wear. I'm wearing, here's a phrase that just popped into my head from childhood. Rubber pants. Oh my God. Do you remember those? I don't even know if that's a thing or was that a torture device? I mean, I know we had them when we were kids, like for babies, because Scott was a baby and I was fucking 6 and I had to change him occasionally because, that's what happens when you're fucking 6 and your dad's a fucking booze hound and he's hiding booze in the toilet tank and your mom's like, I am so tired. Somebody change the baby. That's a lie. I can't call my mom out like that. We never changed them, but we were there alongside, but we would have to get diapers because we had cloth diapers all the time. But then we had rubber pants. You know what they were like? A reverse shower cap. They're a shower cap you put your balls in because they had like leg holes or whatever the fuck, feet holes. They might have feet holes. Who knows? They had holes for your legs. There you go. So you would slide those over the diaper, I believe, right? Yeah, the diaper didn't go over the rubber pants. The rubber pants went over the diaper. And then, you sat there and stewed in your own juices until somebody decided to give you a change because the rubber pants kept the furniture clean. That's all that mattered. Look, we know that you're going to be wailing into your own fucking diaper or your underpants. That's fine. That's who you are as a child. You can't be toilet trained until you're like 11. That seems late. Jesus Christ. I don't have any kids. But rubber pants come in and save the day. Oh man, that's a terrible thing to say. Treetop applesauce, ladies and gentlemen, the official applesauce of the Colorado Rockies. You might as well sell bisque at the ballpark, really. You know what I mean? If you're going to sell like a bowl of like minced fruit, that's just fucking, that doesn't say, buy me some peanuts and some minced fruit. That changes the whole complexion of the song. Cracker Jack right out the window. And Cracker Jack furious, by the way, because they paid probably to have themselves put in that song. Don't you think? Although that pay-to-play thing now, I don't know if that's more of a recent development. I don't know if Cracker Jack went to that, whoever the fuck wrote Take Me Out to the Ball Game, I went, hey, put us in this song. And he's like, what do you mean? And he said, put Cracker Jack in the song. And he's like, why? And they go, here's a shilling. Were we on the gold standard yet when they wrote that song? I don't know. We might have still been using English money. Hey, buddy, if you say Cracker Jack in your song, we'll give you 2 farthings. How about that? And he's like, well, how about a penny farthing? Isn't that a bike? That's the bike with the big wheel and then 2 little wheels, I believe, if I remember correctly. Maybe he did it for that. Maybe they gave him the big wheel, little wheel bike. Big Wheel, Little Wheel was my favorite Saturday morning show with Big John, Little John. Big John, Little John was great, but Big Wheel, Little Wheel was just as a little bit better. You know what it was? It was Big John at the track with Little John in tow. Big John rode Big Wheel, Little John rode Little Wheel. And I got to be honest with you, as someone who enjoys comedy or contrast, I think it would have been a lot more entertaining if Big John rode Little Wheel and Little John rode Big Wheel, right? Don't you think? Wouldn't that make people tune in? Nobody's going to go, oh, look, it's Big John riding Big Wheel. Ho-hum, yawn. Oh, Little John's on Little Wheel? Turn the channel, please. Try to find Electro Woman and Dinah Girl. But instead, if you got Big John riding Little Wheel, you're like, oh, his knees are up around his ears. Look at Big John. He's a fucking clown. And then Little John rides Big Wheel. You're like, he can't move that giant bike. Why was that? I think that's called a penny farthing. Didn't they give it to the Take Me Out to the Ball Game guy for the mention of Cracker Jack? I think they did. I knew that as a youth, certainly, when watching all of the shows that I watched. Oh, all the shows that I watched. I often thought of penny farthings. Look, I'm not going to lie. I went through a year as a child where I refused to watch any show that didn't feature a penny farthing. I said, look, they would say, hey, you want to watch this awesome new show called Good Times? And I'm like, what's it about? They said, it's about a family in the ghetto. I said, wonderful. Which one of them owns a penny farthing? And they said, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I said, well, then I am out. And I turned around and I walked out of that person's house. I don't know who's this weird person I'm watching television at their house. I don't know why I was doing that. I'm unsupervised as a child, clearly, running around in rubber pants. Or at least holding rubber pants for, I don't know. See, I don't want to think that I had rubber pants. I know I was in charge of the rubber pants sometimes for my mom. You know, you did laundry, you had to fold the diapers in the rubber pants. Not that the rubber pants went in the dryer, because then they would fucking melt, right? Don't you think that would happen? Ugh, terrible. But there was a year I would not watch any public entertainment, any multimedia, any entertainment without a penny farthing. Or someone would say, hey, you want to come over and watch this amazing show? I'd say, what's it called? They say Sanford and Son. I said, what it's about? It's about a junk dealer and his kid and their Puerto Rican neighbor. I said, that sounds fantastic. Which of them has a handlebar mustache? Well, quite frankly, none of them. They're in the ghetto. Oh my, well, I'll tell you what, good day to you, sir. But wait, it's really funny. And there's also Grady's on. I said good day. And I storm out the door because there's no handlebar mustaches on Sanford and Son. There was those 2 lunkhead cops that nobody liked. And of course, Grady's the best. Grady's fucking smooth. And Aunt Esther, who's putting her face in dough and making gorilla cookies, according to our good friend Fred Sanford, who owns a junk dealership. Now, let me ask you this. Are there still junk dealerships? Like, could you make that show now with the same exact premise? Or does Fred Sanford have to be an online influencer in the world of garbage? I don't know. Look, man, the world is passing me by. I felt anchored to reality for just a mere moment when I heard the Treetop applesauce was the official applesauce of the Colorado Rockies, because I know what applesauce is. You know, I'm sure now I'm old, man. Applesauce is from my childhood. Everybody else is like, I'm sure there's like, you know, some sort of moon soup or something that they're fucking selling people now. Some sort of, you know, influencer broth. I don't have any fucking clue. Soylent Green is coming out for everybody at the ballpark. Soylent Green. Step right up. $5 for 2. It's people. I would be a good vendor. Yeah, I think if we've learned anything this week, it's that I would be a good vendor in a ballpark, as long as you're selling offbeat items. What do you think? Carnation instant breakfast. Who wants it? I'm sure I've said this before. My buddy Jeff and I, we would do that at the ballpark because it made us laugh. Whenever we would go to a game, we'd be like, hey, stew here, beef stew. Just any vendor selling the dumbest shit in the world. Bologna. Slices of raw bologna. I had a bologna sandwich at the ballpark once, a fried bologna sandwich, not a bologna sandwich. I'm not look, I'm not a heathen. I'm not from outside of this world. I get a fried bologna sandwich. I had it in Cincinnati with my good friend Colette. We went to a game on the 4th of July in 100-degree heat and humidity. And we had to walk a bunch of stairs. Like, it was one of those things where, and I'm at a point now, and this is years ago, fucking 8 years ago, maybe, I don't know. Anytime you go somewhere and you're going to go for entertainment and you're not even there yet. We took a ferry boat over, because again, as you know, I like the old timey thing. we took our penny farthings off to the ferry boat, twisted our handlebar mustaches with the humidity, and then we'd rode a ferry boat to the ballpark. But then as we got to the ballpark, you know what the ballpark had that was shocking to me? And certainly in 100-degree humidity? Stairs. I know I told the story before, but holy fuck, we had to walk up a ton of stairs. I mean, I'm a goddamn puddle. Before game, we haven't even had the first pitch yet. I haven't even had my first bowl of applesauce, and I'm sure enough, I'm dripping sweat like a motherfucker in the hallway of Great American Ballpark, or as I like to call it, Gab. Although I used to like to call it that until Gab turned into a Nazi telegraph. Is that a thing, right? I think Gab is like a Nazi publication or a newspaper. It's like, remember Grit? We've talked about this a million times. Grit was a newspaper you could sell as a kid that nobody would ever buy, but they advertised it in comic books like you were going to somehow make some sort of money so you could buy X-ray specs. But no, fuck no. Never happened. And then there was Gab. Gab, I think, is like Truth Social, or what's the new one now? Telegraph? I don't even know. There's some, it's so funny to say that. Like, I can't keep track of the racist social media sites. That's how bad it's gotten. You would think that I would be able to pull those titles right off the top of my fucking head, but nope. Anything that goes to the dark web, I can't. I'm sorry, the names escape me. But there was Gab, I think, which was a Nazi thing. For some reason, that stuck in my head. Like Screwdriver with a K is a Nazi band. I know that. But if you asked me for more Nazi bands, I wouldn't know. Although I'll tell you this right now. Let's go ahead and spin off and talk about this. Wait, first of all, let me finish the ballpark thing. Hold on. Let me make sure. Let me write down Nazi band so I don't forget that. But the way it is with the ballparks now, they have these agreements with like the Bally Sports Network or whatever. And in a recent development over the past 2 years, a lot of these people that hold the broadcast rights, like Bally, they've gone to the league and they go, hey, hi, we paid certainly for the right to go ahead and broadcast these games, but we're not going to do it anymore. And everybody's like, what? What are you saying? And Bally's like, yeah, we're out of money, so we're not going to show any more baseball. We're pivoting. We're going, you know what? We're the all cornhole network now. That's what we're doing. We're going to show people that. And they just walk away from the debt. Like, they owe this money. They sign an agreement, but they're not funding the ball. And you know, teams need TV revenue money to sign a free agent. I mean, not, 27 teams in the league, because they don't sign any free agents ever, because they just hoard their money because they see the end game coming. But these other, the guys that they pay, they just walked away from the debt. Like the Texas Rangers and the Marlins and I think the Cleveland Guardians, they're just fucked. They wind up, because, they got a line item in their budget for TV revenue money that's coming in, and it's like, $200 million or whatever the fuck, or $79 million. And that goes toward paying your Emmanuel Clases. That goes toward paying your Kyle Manzardos. All these players get money. Nobody plays for the fucking love of the game anymore. And that's fine. Please believe, I'm not scolding anybody, because it's like when I hear there's these like football players, like the Bears right now. I don't want to get into it, but the Bears have players. There's a guy named Keenan Allen. And everybody's like, Keenan Allen should be out there fucking busting his ass. And I'm like, Keenan Allen's like 34 and he's making $13 million in the last year of his deal. I kind of understand the dog in it for a guy like that, because it's like, football's a car accident. Why the fuck am I going to walk out in the middle of traffic and get smashed by 8 cars for free? And then you're like, well, he's got $13 million coming this year. And he's like, yeah, but you got to think about his future. And I don't know. It's a bubble and it's all going to pop. You know what I mean? Because fans hate athletes, and athletes, I guess, hate fans. Any athlete who takes a stand for himself, I've talked about this a million times. Any athlete who takes a stand for himself, people are like, I can't fucking believe he would do that. Shouldn't he play for the love of the game in the city? No, he should not. Clearly, he should not. Because if he blows his knee out, the city's not going to go, you know what, man? We're going to pay you millions of dollars for the rest of your life. No, the city's going to go, hey, man, nice meeting you. We're going to give this new kid your number. I hope, and then they send him a bill for the gas that he used in the cart ride off the field. That's how these fucking guys work. So to see all these networks, I guess, conglomerates, whatever the fuck you want to call them, groupings, these broadcasting entities, just go, yeah, we're not going to pay you. And the teams are scrambling. And then here's the worst part. Like, then the league is like, well, I guess we'll pay it and we'll go ahead and put your games on through that. But the teams don't get the money that they were going to get, so they can't be competitive. And then everything falls apart. This is a bubble. It's all fucking everything's falling apart. You know this. I know this. We all know this. Speaking of Nazi bands, there's a movie I saw. Look, I've been watching a lot of movies. Let's talk about this. Well, let's not talk about all those movies. Let's talk about this movie in particular. I've been going over to Pat's house, and we've been like, hey, man, you pick a movie, I'll pick a movie. And one night, I picked a movie that had been on my list forever. It's something I have not seen. Well, forever seems long, but I mean, for certainly a few years. I had heard about it, and I had never watched it, but I wanted to see it. So I saw, it was a movie called, brace yourselves, if you've not seen it, go ahead and see it. But if you haven't, if you have seen it, then go ahead and rejoice when I say the name of it. Although if I said Nazi band and you've seen the movie, you already know what I'm talking about. It's a movie called Green Room. Now, if you haven't seen Green Room, rush to see it. Turn this off right now and go watch Green Room and then come back and pick it up right in the middle here. I'm not going to spoil anything. Green Room is a movie about a punk band that's on the road, and Alias Shawkat is in that band, and also a guy who died, who I didn't know. I guess he was in the new Star Trek. I think he was Bones. I don't know. Pat was telling me about him. And this dude died in a freaky way. Like, he was in his driveway and he parked his truck. And then he went down to check his mail, and he turned around and the brakes gave way or something and smashed him into his own fence and killed him. And this is like a 27-year-old actor who people loved. And not that it matters. I mean, if they hated him, who cares? It's still a horrible way to die. And I didn't do much research on it. Pat told me about it, and then I looked, and I was like, oh, man, that's terrible. But then part of me was like, I hope somebody sued Toyota at that point, right? Because if the brakes were faulty, like, because if he parked on a hill and didn't put his brakes on, or his emergency brake or whatever, then maybe that's on him. But if you park and you turn your car off and it's in park and you go to get your mail, and then your car comes to life like fucking Christine and smashes into your own gated complex, I think you got to get some money, some recompense, if you will. And clearly what the car company's going to do at that point is go, yeah, no, we're not going to pay, because that's the way it works these days. I don't know if I mentioned, in baseball right now, there are these entities, never mind. Everybody walks away from their debt. Just goes, yeah, no, can't do it. You know who doesn't get to do that? Me. You know who else? You. Very rarely can you just look at somebody, like if you go to a store, try it. Just fill a bag with a bunch of stuff, and then they ring it all up, and then just go to walk out, and they go, hey, you got to pay for that, and you just go, yeah, no, probably not gonna. If you want, you can ask the league to regroup and pay off these groceries for me, but I'm going to go home right now and eat some Totino's pizza rolls. Bye. Very rarely will you get away with that. Very rarely. Although try it, why not? And please let me know what happens. I'd love to hear that. God knows I want to hear the turn of events when you go ahead and steal a bunch of groceries. I don't know, man. I just, it seems like people can just kind of walk away, or not people, companies, businesses can just kind of walk away from everything. And then people try it and they're like, no, we have a prison with rocks that you have to break. Let's go. We're bringing back draconian measures. Have you heard that? What, for companies? No, just for people. We're bringing back draconian measures. We're bringing back physical punishment for human beings. Is that okay? We're going to put you in this fucking yard. You're going to turn big rocks into little rocks. You know what else we brought back? Because we think it's stylish? The striped uniform. Oh, God. Not a guy's in prison now. You see them, they're wearing plain outfits. And that just won't do. Because who's to say you don't walk into the prison one day thinking it's a hospital and they're all dressed like guys in scrubs and you let some fucking felon take your teeth out? You can't do that. All of a sudden, some guy who's in for mail fraud gives you an appendectomy because he's wearing the right clothes. Fuck that, man. We need to bring back the stripy suit for the convicts, because then you know who that is. You see a guy walking around, you're either like, all right, this is either a mass murderer or the Hamburglar. I got to determine whether or not I want to engage this guy in any sort of conversation or physical activity. And I say physical activity because oftentimes when I see somebody in stripes from head to toe, it's fucking go time, man. It's like red to a bull. You wave a red cape in front of a fucking bull and he's going to throw you over the goddamn fence. A true link fence. Now, if you see a guy in stripes just walking fucking, and I'm talking like stripy hat, stripy shirt, stripy pants, black and white stripes, the Beetlejuice outfit. You know what I'm talking about. You see a guy like that, it's ready. It's fucking, let's throw down. Let's fucking roll. I'm taking you out, buddy. It's time to fight. You know what? Do you think my elbow would fit in your mouth? How many times will I have to try to make it? Let's fucking go. You wear a stripe outfit from top to bottom. I'm going to engage you in a brawl because, like I said, you're either a mass murderer or some sort of hamburger thief. And look, I got nothing against the Hamburglar. We're all trying to make a living. All right, everybody's trying to get their food. Everybody's trying to stay alive out there. I certainly won't judge the Hamburglar. I don't judge anybody. Out here we have, it seems like every day, we have smash and grab robberies almost every day, like in I was going to say Nintendo, in Nordstrom. In Nintendo, they often have them. In Nordstrom, we got smashers and grabbers. And guys run in and they take a bunch of watches from Nordstrom and then they run outside and they jump into a BMW with no plates and they drive away. And I never know if they've rented that car. I don't know how it works. Look, I haven't attended the smash and grab meetings for quite some time. The pandemic put me off of them. I'm not going to lie. Because I was ready to sign up. I'm like, I'm in for smash and grab. You guys hiring? They said, yes, put on that stripy suit. God damn it, I got to walk out. Because I don't know if you've heard, folks. If I saw myself in a stripy suit in a mirror, guess what? I'd just like put a boot right in that mirror's fucking gut. Just kick it right in the old mirror solar plexus because I can't see myself in a suit. It's like I got to fight my own reflection. I'll fight my own reflection. I'll give myself a fucking day in court. Let's do this. You want a piece of me? Square up. Oh, you're squaring up? So am I. All right, I'm going to throw a right hand, although it looks like you're coming with a left hand. This is a play-by-play of me fighting my own reflection. That's what it's come to, folks. That's where we're at. Bisque here. Who wants pickled onions? That's what I want to do. I want to get so rich, which is never happening. But what if you had your own baseball team and then you just completely changed the concessions? Because there's sushi now and there's all sorts of like, hey man, do you want a fucking potato rope? I don't know what the fuck that is, but if I'm going to hang myself, it's going to be with a fucking potato rope. Let's do it. Who wants a noodle noose? I'm gonna write that down because that's the name of the show, guys. Who wants a noodle noose? Let me go ahead. Nobody knows what that is. All right. Remember in podcasting when it used to be just funny and silly, and you could talk about that. You could talk about a noodle noose for like a day and a half, and people would be like, "Oh, this guy won't shut up about the noodle noose." I hope somebody comes in with stripes so he fucking is distracted and punches him, because that would happen. But now, podcasters like important. The fuck is that? This used to be, people in a garage. And like Marin's still in a garage. You talk to the president in a garage. And I guess, should I blame him? Is he the first one? I don't know, man. Who's giving podcasters influence? I could buy this microphone on Amazon and plug it into a computer and then just put the show into the ether. And that's me. You don't vet me. Nobody's vetting me. I just said I fought my own reflection. You want to give me any sort of weight in your life? No, you don't. Holy fuck. But that's how it works. Now they're kingmakers, man. There's I never thought I would live to see the day when the Senate Majority Leader had to go on Guys We Fucked. But there you go. You know what? That's where the young people are. We got to meet them halfway. Got to bring them right there. Welcome to Guys We Fucked. Here's Chuck Schumer. Ladies, you have a terrific show. I must tell you, the subject matter is a little iffy for me because I myself have never engaged in these activities, but it's always enjoyable to hear you talk about your experiences. Quite frankly, I don't know how your ankles can get that high. But in my experience as Senate Majority Leader, anyone can be allowed to do anything they want with their ankles at any time. And so I applaud you and your efforts to tell everybody about all of the dick you take. Is that the phrase? I don't know. I'm very old. I'm an old man. And I know you talk about the dick you take and these. Certainly it's right in the title. Guys we fucked. I shouldn't say that. Oops, I apologize. But you know what? When in Rome, which is an interesting phrase because I don't think anyone who's ever been in Rome has used the phrase when in Rome because they're already in Rome. So why would they reference the fact that they are in Rome? But I use it here to mention that I'm here in the Guys We Fucked studios listening to you two talk about your love buttons and whatever the hell. I don't know what the kids call them these days. Oh my God. Chuck Schumer. No, thank you. But that's who they are. They're kingmakers, man. That you got these, everybody, Theo Von, who I don't know anything about Theo Von. I'm sure he's a terrific guy. And I've heard he's a funny guy. I heard he's got funny in his bones and he's someone that is worth respecting and watching, certainly in comedy. I guess I just didn't need him brokering a peace agreement in Botswana. You know what I mean? It just seems fucking weird. Like who's calling, wasn't he on MTV's The Challenge? And then he did stand up and all of a sudden he's sitting across from fucking like Peter Thiel or whatever the fuck. And I'm like, and again, because this is where the young people are. Got to go meet young people where they are. I never thought I would live to see the day when Hakeem Jeffries had to do a set on Kill Tony. He's a bucket pull. Get him out of there. Well, we've pulled House Majority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Go ahead, Hakeem. You got a minute. I don't get it. But, that's because, look, I don't podcast enough to even fucking consider myself a podcaster probably anymore. Although I think if you do one, you're in the group. That's another thing. Anybody out there, you guys would listen. Because when I first started this show, I was one of like 7 people in the fucking country who were doing it. And people would write me and go, hey man, we're going to start a show. And I'm like, cool. And they're like, how do we get listeners? I'm like, I have no fucking idea. I was lucky enough to get on. I gravy trained onto a show that people started listening to because there was no other choice. Like I got in when it was AM radio. You know what I mean? Like in the old days, you know, when you ever see those, like the first Alexander Graham Bell was like, Watson, come here, I need you, or whatever the fuck. Was Watson his guy? I don't know if he was. Watson's Sherlock Holmes' guy. Let me ask you this. What kind of a life does Watson have if he's working for Sherlock Holmes and then Alexander Graham Bell? He's taking down Moriarty, and then a decade later, he's inventing the phone. Good for fucking Watson. And on top of all that, guy's a fucking doctor. Jesus Christ, John Watson, what the fuck are you doing with your life? You're a fucking doctor. And he was in the military. So that was the whole thing. Because I will tell you this, too. When I listen to the old fucking radio shows of like Sherlock Holmes, they'll allude to Watson's military career because he was whatever. And then he became Watson's lover, or Sherlock Holmes's lover. There's no doubt. Those guys are banging. Don't come to me with your, no, they were just pals. Sure they were. That's why they wake up together and have tea. Really? Oh, he's got and he had a wife too, Watson, so he's got to constantly write his wife. Yes, dear, I'm very sorry. I once again, I've fallen asleep on Baker Street. I apologize. Well, I'm going to clean I'm going to clean all of the Holmes out of my mustache, and I'll be home shortly, dear, after 4 glasses of tea and a trip to Blackpool. That's the worst English accent ever. Well, that could be a Watson. That's not a bad Watson. But Watson, on the old radio show, they allude to his military career and certainly his sexual exploits with Sherlock Holmes. But then they redo the movie, like they do a movie with, I think it was Ewan McGregor and Robert Downey Jr. And all of a sudden, Watson is like a fucking, I don't understand this shit. Look, I'm not going to lie to you. I know IP, and you want to go ahead and try to make the most of it, you know, and then it's always like young Sherlock Holmes, different Sherlock Holmes. Here's black Sherlock Holmes. And by the way, I could believe that, because if you hear the name Sherlock Holmes, and without any prior exposure to the character or the history or the lineage or the canon, I immediately think Sherlock Holmes is a pimp from a 1970s movie. There's no doubt. There is clearly, that's what Travis Bickle shot at the end. He shot Sherlock Holmes, played by Harvey Keitel. So the fuck was I even talking about? John Watson. So then they remake all these things, and Watson's always like a tough guy. Like Watson can fight. And I think there's even a new one now. I'm like, because look, here's how sad I am. I went looking for like just a black and white comfort movie. I'm like, what did I watch? The Horror House. I watched some Vincent Price bullshit. And again, it was Vincent Price, and it was made by the guy who made The Tingler. I forget that dude's name. He made a bunch of gimmicks in the 50s. So it's some movie where Vincent Price, this is so dumb. Vincent Price and his wife invite 7 people to a haunted house for a party, and if they last the night, they get $10,000. So stupid. But it turns out, of course, it's an elaborate ruse because somebody wants to kill somebody, and who knows. But then he takes them through the house, and he only has a tenuous connection to these people. Like one of them's a pilot that he heard about. One of them works for one of his companies as secretary. It's so fucking weird. But and then Vincent Price takes them in the basement of this fucking spooky house. And he's like, oh yeah, there's like 7 people who've died in this house in the past or whatever. And he rolls a drawbridge type of thing, like a rolly wheel. And the floor comes up, and he's like, yeah, this is the floor. It's filled with acid, and like we've had skeletons thrown in there or whatever. People have died in the acid in the basement. And in my head, I'm just like, look, man, if I'm at this party, and I know $10,000 is a lot of money in 1954 or whatever the fuck, but if you have a house that has under the floorboards, not even the floorboards, there's under a trap door, and a big trap door, like a drawbridge, I guess would be a better way to say it. If you have a drawbridge in the basement that covers an acid river bath, I'm leaving. I'm out. I don't give a fuck what canopies you got. I don't know. I need 10 grand, but I don't need 10 grand enough to where if I accidentally trip walking across the room, I take a header into an acid bath. Jesus. And also, look, man, he mentions, by the way, Vincent Price, he's like, this house has had 3 previous owners. Not one of them thinks of getting rid of the acid bath. Not even. And look, I understand this. You can't get rid of the space. All right, you've clearly got a drawbridge door and then a giant hole in your basement. But who at one point, like, you must have thought to yourself, I need an acid bath. I don't know who does think that. Is there some guy there like the fucking who were those idiots who own, not the pawn shop idiots, the other guys who own the cars? They made all the cars and shit. I don't know. There's a meme where they're yelling at each other, but fucking. Who has a house with an acid bath in the bottom of it? And then, and if the second guy buys it and they say to him, hey, yeah, we got a problem. A couple of people died in that acid bath. You want us to get rid of it? Absolutely not. I think we keep this acid bath because what are the odds of it happening again? Clearly. I'll keep the drawbridge closed. Even if you kept the drawbridge closed, even if you were to avoid accidental death by acid dissolving, dissolution, whatever you want to call it, you've still got to fucking refill the acid or drain the fucking thing. There's no reason to have an acid bath in your basement. And if you're the local cops, you got to be visiting that house like every day. Yeah, police, open up. Okay. Hi, yeah, we understand there's an acid bath in here where you can dispose of the remains of victims. Oh, yeah. You know, we put a picnic table over it. We just keep the drawer closed. What do you mean? Well, there's like a drawbridge. We just keep it closed so nobody can fall in. It's just, but yeah. So you've drained it and it's not a safety hazard any longer? Oh, no, I haven't drained it. Really? So you still need a literal child's wading pool, even deeper than that, of acid in your basement? Well, look, I don't want to get rid of it because what if there is a time when I need 100 gallons of acid? I don't know why you ever would. Well, I agree with you. Certainly, I agree with you. But the previous owners felt they would need 100 gallons of acid, which makes me think something about this area makes you dependent on the idea that you could possibly need this acid at some time in the future. So I don't want to get rid of it, just in case. You never know. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. Yes, you will, police. You will come back to see if anybody's been burned in the acid. I'm talking about nothing for no reason. Watson is always like a tough guy. It's like when they made the Alfred show. I think I talked about that. Alfred, all of a sudden Alfred, I knew him as Batman's calcium deficient butler. Old, white hair. But apparently he fought in World War I and invented mustard gas. I think. I didn't watch the show, but at every fucking thrilling adventure of Alfred, I saw the commercial. And I went, okay, is this... Who's that for? Is there somebody who's like, man, I love Batman, but you know what? His crime fighting skills are amazing to watch, but what if he takes the day off? I got to think of somebody else who could possibly kick some ass. What? Alfred? Oh my God. Alfred putting on his driving gloves and those weird goggles and a scarf and he's going to go fight people in World War I? Yes, by all means. I don't know if you know this. Alfred was the Red Baron. Actually, that's different. He was a gunner in the Red Baron's plane. He and Snoopy gunned down everybody. Oh, yeah, Snoopy has a fighting history, too, as well, because everybody has to be tough. It's so dumb. All right, I'm babbling, and I don't mean to babble. Go watch Green Room if you haven't watched it yet. It's fantastic. It's terrific. And it's a movie about a punk band featuring Alia Shawkat. And then they're supposed to play a gig in, like, Portland or Seattle. And a guy's like, yeah, gig fell through, but I got you a gig with my brothers at my brother's bar. And then they get there. And it's white supremacists and Nazis and punk music and heavy metal. And there's a green room and Patrick Stewart is in it. He's terrific. If you haven't seen it, you should see it. It's a wonderful show. Who wants chowder? Manhattan clam chowder. By the way, it's not New England clam chowder because I don't know if you've heard, the Diamond Ballpark payment entity for television broadcasts withheld their money, so they had to settle for Manhattan. Look, if you want New England clam chowder, you better get a better TV deal. You better get a better? You better, you bet. You better, you bet. Get a TV deal that's worth the New England clam chowder. Otherwise, it's Manhattan all the way down the line, goddammit. All right. I've probably avoided this long enough. I don't know if you guys heard last week. I did a show last week. I'm a little late today, by the way, or this week. I know. I'm very busy. I'm the busiest man alive. I'm bringing people from here to there. You know what? Go right now and open up an algebra book. And if you see point A to point B in the line, I'm the line. A lot of people at point A need to get to point B. And guess who does it? Me. And I will tell you this week, a lot of people, I don't really, all right. I think I've told you, when people get in the car, when I'm driving Uber, I give them I just go, hey, if you want it warmer or colder, let me know. If you care about the radio, let me know. And then if they want to talk, they can talk, but otherwise I'm not going to talk. Because, it's early in the morning, whatever the fuck, nobody wants me bothering them or talking about their life. And I have already told you, a lot of people immediately, even when I ask about the temperature, people are like, I'm fine, because they don't want to talk and they fucking stare at their phones, which is good. But this was a week where everybody wanted to talk. Everybody has an opinion about things that are going on. And I don't know if you've even heard about things that are going on, ladies and gentlemen. But last week, we had an election in this country. On Tuesday, we had that election. And it's not all I'm going to say, but I'll say this to you. let's put it this way. It didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. How about that? Let's say it in that way. And it's funny in the car. Did I ever tell you this story? I might have told you this story. This is months ago. Okay. And I picked up a guy and his wife, and they were French, and they were in the car, and we're driving, and they were very nice. They were conversing in French, and then they would in English. They would, they would be very nice. And I didn't really say anything to those fine folks, right when they got in. I did, and we talked a little bit. And then they were at a fundraiser or something at a hotel in like Brentwood. And as I'm driving them, they're talking, and I hear amidst the French, they say Trump, like in the middle of their discussion. It's like, voulez-vous coucher avec moi? C'est moi, Trump. And so it was in there. And I didn't say anything, clearly, because they're French and I don't know the rest of it. And also they could have been talking about the Arc de Triomphe. You know what I mean? I had no fucking idea. But then he decided to ask me. He's like, "Oh, so you are? We have, you have the election coming up in this later in the year." And I'm like, "Yes." And he's like, "So, like, do a lot of people they talk about this with you?" And I'm like, "No, not really. We don't, And he's like, "How do you feel about it?" I'm going to stop the tortured French accent now. And he's like, "How do you feel about it?" And I said, well, I feel that if it doesn't go a certain way, and by the way, this is when Biden was still running. Okay, so that's how long ago this was. And I was like, I feel that if it doesn't go a certain way, this might be the last time we ever have an election in this country. And he goes, well, what is this? What do you mean? And I'm like, well, I don't know if I have a lot of faith in Joe Biden, but you have to vote for him as a firewall against these fucking idiots. Because I try to be, that's bullshit. I'm just tired of fucking tiptoeing around it. You know what I mean? This guy's a fucking idiot. And I don't even think I really tiptoe around it. On this show, I certainly don't tiptoe around it. But I mean, in real life, because I don't want to have the discussion. If somebody's for him or whatever, and it's going to turn into a thing, and I never want it to turn into a thing. And I have to be honest with you, I don't know if I'm fully against turning it into a thing anymore. I'm so slump-shouldered, and it's, and I've talked about not doing a show here for a long time. It's like I've convinced myself that nothing I have to say matters because everybody has a voice, and it's this fucking cacophony of noise, and why contribute to the din? The source of chords inflame the din. Is that the word? Is that the line from Stairway? The chords inflame. I know inflame the din. I don't know the first part of it. I'd have to sing the whole song and then I'd know it. Have you like that? You can't pull a chunk out of a song, but well, I guess I did with inflame the din. But I mean, but if I sang the whole song, I would know nobody cares. Shut up. But this dude. So when I said fucking idiot, and he almost gasped like. And this is, I don't know if I've told you this because it happened so long ago. And he just goes, "But you are Zimaga." And I said, "What?" And he goes, "But you are Zimaga." And I said, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "But your hair, you look like you have the haircut. You look like Zimaga." He thought because I had my head shaved, you know the hair I have these days. And I'm a big beefy white dude. He just assumed that I was one of them, I guess. And I said, "Oh no." I said, "I just like my haircut." I said, "But no, I think everybody's in danger." And he was like, "Oh," he was overjoyed. I mean, he was like, "Oh," and he and his wife both, and they were like, "I'm so happy to hear you say that." And then they just unloaded just this invective about Trump and us and what was going to happen. And I was more than happy to do it. We engaged in a conversation, we went back and forth. And I've had, it's funny because in the old days, 2 weeks ago, people didn't want to talk about politics because you're beaten to death with it and stuff. But I had another guy in the car the day of the assassination. I had 3 young dudes, the attempt, clearly, unfortunately, just an attempt. And when that happened, I don't know if I talked about this, I touched on it last week, but when they took the shot at him and he stood up and he did the fight, like I texted Pat and I'm like, "You're not going to, dude, somebody just took a shot at Trump." And he's like, "What the fuck?" Because he wasn't near a TV, he was working. And I just kept watching it unfold. And that bit where he stood up and he did the fight and there's the blood on his face. And I was like, he just won. He won. This is winning it for him. Whether it sparks his base to come out even more than they normally would, or it flips people who are like, oh my gosh, this guy's in danger, we need to protect him, whatever the fuck. It was going to provide a bump, in my opinion. And that night I'm in the car, and these dudes get in. Of course, that was something to talk about. So nobody really talked to me about it, but these three kids came in and they were talking about it. They're going on and on about it. And I didn't really engage. But then later that night, I picked up one kid, and he sat in the front seat, which was fucking crazy. And I should tell you this about this kid. He was probably 21, 22. And this is what drove me crazy. Like, he started talking to me, and it was really early Sunday morning, like 6 a.m. And it was a long drive. I took him from way down south up to the valley. And I'm a big person, you know that, but also I go to the gym, I lift. Like, I mean, it's one of those things where, like I've said, suit of armor wrapped in bologna. Like, if you felt my arms, you'd be like, oh, okay, this guy does lift weights or whatever the fuck. And I'm not fucking, I'm just a big dude. But he was a trainer, so he started to try to tell me about the benefits of the gym, and I need to go to and I'm just sitting, I'm driving, and he's 21, so I'm just tolerating it, you know what I mean? He's telling me about the benefits of the gym, and I should go, and then he asks if I'm married or if I have a girlfriend. He goes, no, and he goes, you know what, if you went to the gym more, you'd definitely, you know what, if you went to the gym, you'd even become more social. Like, you'd feel better about yourself. Like, you'd lose some weight, and you'd probably want to talk to women and see, and like, he made all these presumptions about me because he thought I was some fat, out of shape uber loser. Now, he's in the neighborhood, clearly, but at the same time, I mean, I'm twice this guy's age, if not 3 times almost. He's 21, I'm 57, and he's telling me these things about how I can get women and how. And he's got pickup artist like things where he's like, yeah, there's this thing that really works at the gym. Like, if you go to spot a girl, talk about spotting this woman, he's like, but then you when she lifts the weights, you got to tell her it's not enough and just walk away. Go, yeah, I don't want to spot you if it's only this much. And he's telling me how to neg women at the gym, and I'm just fucking. It was misery because, again, he's also in the front seat, and it's a 40-minute ride. And he wouldn't stop. And then he's like, hey, man, I got to tell you a joke. And he told me a joke about, black guys and hanging from trees. And I'm just like, it's that thing where, and I know people are like, you should have just dropped him off, or you should have kicked him out of your car. And I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do? All right. Who cares? It's just yet another in the long line of people I've met that I would hope to forget at some point. Although now I'm telling you about him. So I guess I'm infecting you with the disease. But the only time I spoke up was, he started talking about how Trump was sent to save this country, and Trump was actually ordained by God, and he was going to be the guy who fixed this country and made sure that everybody, because, I don't know if you know this, but, in the Bible, it actually says that when men start to act like women, that's when the fall will come. And I mean, like all the bullshit you hear, all of the fucking horse shit you hear. But he bought it as gospel. He's 21. And I honestly, when I think about it, because this is back in fucking July or August, like, I should have probably seen it as a sign that there's a ton of these fucking young people who have all of this misinformation that they're applying. And then he, to his credit, I will say, he goes, can I ask, can I ask you where you stand on the election and what's going to happen? And I said, I wish that bullet had hit 3 inches to the right, because it had happened earlier. This is Sunday morning. It happened on Saturday. And there was just this fucking quiet in the car. Hold on. Hey, that was Zeppelin. Sorry, I had an alarm just went off on my fucking. Is that an Amber Alert? Wait a second, I'm getting an Amber Alert. There's a bustle in my hedgerow. I shouldn't be alarmed. But this dude, the only time he engaged me, because otherwise he's lecturing me, he's proselytizing, he's preaching to me, and then he's like, "Hey, can I ask where you stand in this election?" Well, I wish that bullet had hit 3 inches to the right. And he just looked at me like because then I had taken agency. Now I was a person. Now I wasn't just accepting his garbage and nodding. I was like, fuck this. I'm going to say this, even though I knew it was going to open up a discussion, and it fucking digs. And the rest of the trip is, well, why would you say that? Well, you don't understand what he's going to do. I'm like, okay, I don't understand. I'm 57, you're 21, but I don't understand. And, it's just been my policy to not engage in it, to just kind of step away. Unless I'm here when I'm telling you guys about it. I'm like, this guy's fucking idiot, whatever the fuck. And, I look, I'll own this. Last week, I said she was going to win by 3 points. Now, I will tell you this. I was influenced by polls and things that I had read. And I mean, this is not an excuse. You know what I mean? I also, at the time I did that show last week, I will tell you this. I assumed the best for this country, or at least better for this country. Because as I said a couple of weeks ago, Kamala Harris is not my choice. But to me, she's the only choice at the time because she's the firewall between us and complete ghoulish idiocy. And so I was like, she's the only choice. You have to vote for her because we were left really no choice because they picked her as a candidate. And look, and I thought she was an attractive lady. I thought she gave a decent speech. I liked Tim Walz more than I liked her. But also, she wasn't going to ban books or burn books or, take away women's agency and rights. Whatever. We know the song and dance. We know the drill. And we also know, with hindsight, certainly, I didn't think about it that Tuesday. Certainly, I heard the people squawking about Gaza. They were one-issue voters. We talked about this. And there were people who were very angry. Dearborn, Michigan was a city that was in play. Like a lot of Muslims gave speeches. And I don't want to broad brush Muslims, but a lot of people who were Muslims gave speeches in the Muslim community were saying, we got to send Biden and Harris a lesson. We got to teach them that they can't do this. This genocide must not stand. And they've been funding it and they've been doing all they can to go ahead and make sure it keeps going. And they're so pro-Israel. And as I've said to you guys before, I was like, that's terrific. I understand that. The other guy feels exactly the way they do, if not worse. But he will also make sure all abortions are performed with an ice cream scoop in a fucking dark room. You understand that, right? Now, let's speak to that a little bit. Do abortions affect me in the least? They don't. I don't think I'm ever going to be involved in a situation where somebody I'm with has to have an abortion. And some of you may say that that's wishful thinking. Look, just fucking somebody at this point would be wishful thinking, but I certainly don't think I'm going to knock anybody up. Because my swimmers are dead. They're all like, I feel bad for this woman if I fucking blast inside of her because it's just going to be a bunch of sperm on fucking recliners blasting into her fucking vagina and then just going off to the side. Like literally, you know what? All of my sperm right now looks like me trying to enter Great American Ballpark on July 4th. Just fucking covered in sweat and looking for a fried bologna sandwich. Like when I come now, when I shoot my sperm out, it's going to sound like speed buggy in a woman's pussy. I mean, I'm 57, man. It's over. I'm lucky I'm not coming dust. So literally my cock's like a pixie stick at this point. Just fucking poof. So abortion doesn't affect me in the fucking least, but it's not about me. Because again, I'm old and I'm going to die soon. And then this fucking planet is going to be run again by ghouls. And it's about taking rights away from people. Because also I will say this, even if you want to look at it in the abstract to a certain extent, it's not just about abortion. It's about the taking away of rights that have already been established. And I won't lie, I'm fucking angry. The Dems could have codified Roe. Biden could have done it forever, but they don't. They like to run on the other team going to possibly take it away. And look, people have said this forever. And it's not like I'm just learning it. Okay. I've understood that Democrats, they try to scare the shit out of you. You can't vote for the other guys because they're so bad. But where we agreed was that the other guys were so bad. Like I completely agreed. I mean, I didn't think Democrats, certainly in this election, were good, but they were going to be less bad than the other people. And I know somebody's going to find some sentence I said where you're like, oh no, you loved her and you're fucking on board. And well, you have to be. Okay. It's like the Bears right now. The Bears are fucking falling apart. I mean, it's weird. There's all these stories that maybe they don't like the rookie quarterback and then they fired their offensive coordinator. It's a mess. But am I going to be, and what I can do is I can go, well, I hope the Bears win, but I can fucking step back and disassociate myself from it and go, whatever. And that's how I was with the Democrats. Like I know I'm voting for things that I think are important, but you know what I don't think is important? Liz fucking Cheney or Dick Cheney or Kamala trying to appear like a hard ass because she wants to make sure people don't think she's going to be soft on Gaza or whatever the fuck. All that shit was wrong. I was not for it. But you talk about single issue voters. People vote about Gaza. People vote about, whatever. Mine wasn't a single issue, but it was about racism and and personal rights. The rights that have already been established to a certain extent. Now, there are other people who were one-issue voters, and their issue was eggs cost too much. Oh my God, gas! Look how much it is. And I agree. Eggs cost too much. I agree. Gas prices are a little bananas sometimes. And I'm a guy who needs gas every day in his fucking car to get the job done. I mean, I'm not, I'm directly affected by it. But if it means that abortion is now done from the top of a tall staircase and a quick shove, then I'm willing to forego my being upset about the gas prices. If it means that people less fortunate won't be in danger of being ostracized, I'm more than happy to take the hit regarding, the oatmeal or whatever the fuck. And I found out last week that there are people who aren't willing to do that. There are people who will vote to save $100, even if it means a group of people gets marginalized. And I think that that's pretty fucked. It's not for me. I don't get it. Now, I will tell you this. As the night went on, again, in 2016, I was fucking stunned. Like I told you this story where I voted and I just thought it was a fait accompli. Like I thought fucking Hillary was going to crush this fucking bug. And I was like, all right, well, here we go. I went and voted. I took a picture, and posted it. Haha. Because, back then it was fun because she was going to win and yay. And then I actually ran errands. Like I didn't pay attention to a fucking thing in 2016. And I'm running errands and I jump in the car. It's like 5:30 my time. And I turn on NPR on Sirius Radio and they call Michigan for fucking Trump. And that's when I went, what the fuck is going on? And all of a sudden I started to listen to the gravity and the voices of the people. And Michigan was the tipping point where I went, wait a minute, that's holy fuck. And by the time I got home, I was like a 20-minute ride to my house. By the time I got home, like I believe like Pennsylvania was in play and all these other, and the West Coast polls. And I was like, son of a bitch, he's going to fucking win. And I was fucking stunned. And I will tell you this, my mistake was thinking then and in the ensuing 8 years that it was an outlier. Thinking that it was a bunch of people were angry and made a protest vote or whatever, or thought he was funny and decided to vote for him, thought it would be hilarious to troll people and vote for him, and with people never really thinking he would win. Now, certainly there were diehards who were like, this guy's the fucking savior, but at that point it was easy to dismiss them. It was easy to say, yeah, no, fuck these people. It's like, some faction, like the Tea Party. Or the fucking John Birch Society, just a fucking group of loonies, just a pack of fucking idiots who decided to queer the deal and vote a certain way and then inexplicably won. And then like at the end of the candidate with Robert Redford, where he looks at the fucking campaign manager, he goes, what do we do now? You know what I mean? Like you're not counting on it. I certainly wasn't. And so then he wins. And then, we see 2016 and look, I know some of you out there are like, yay, he's great. Good for you. I don't care. That's because once again, I lean on this and it's going to, and I should throw this umbrella up really quick. I recognize that everything I'm saying and I'm about to say, comes from an enormous place of privilege in that I'm a middle-aged white person who probably isn't on a list somewhere. Certainly not the lists that, that black people find themselves on, that Muslims find themselves on, that, immigrants or undocumented or all these people, they all find themselves LGBTQ. Everybody finds themselves on a certain list. And perhaps you're terrified. Perhaps you're sitting there going, Jesus Christ, I don't know what's going to happen next. Hey man, I also don't know what's going to happen next, but I can say as a old white dude, probably not a lot to me, but I will also say this, I'm poor. And whether that's because of actions of my own doing, whatever the fuck you want to say, yes, clearly I've made decisions that have not led myself to have a cornucopia of cash. I'm not exactly flush, and I find myself in arrears quite often because of any number of reasons. So being poor, I do consider myself vulnerable. Not as vulnerable as other people because I can still hide in my white guy costume. But if things tip one way or the other, I can find myself in Dutch pretty fucking quick. Case in point, October, which I'll tell you about next time. But October, let's put it this way. I had a bad October for reasons that I'll get into another time because I've got other things to talk about here. But that October has ensured that my November and my December and my January are fucked. Like, and you're like, oh, only 3 months? Well, look, yes, everything's fucked. The next 30 years are fucked for everybody. Who fucking knows? But for me personally, financially, the next 3 months are a fucking coin flip. And it's a lot of put your head down and just fucking go. I mean, I'm in the car 10, 12 hours a day. And that's active. I mean, sometimes I'm in the car 14, 15 hours a day because it takes that long to fill a 12-hour driving schedule. It doesn't matter. But that's because of things that have happened. And I will tell you that the stuff that happened in October really showed me how close, and I've known this, we all know this, how close all of us are to just completely falling off a fucking cliff. And I had this happen, with the previous car accident when my car got totaled and I had to do a GoFundMe, and people were very generous and helped me out because if they didn't, I'm fucked. Like, I am so fucked adjacent all the time. And I don't know if you are. I don't know if you feel it slipping away. I don't know if you find yourself in a position where you're like, oh man, if this breaks one way, I might be on the street. And you like to say to yourself, well, that would never happen. You also like to say to yourself, well, there are people who would never let that happen. But you can't put your eggs in their basket. You can't be that person. You can't say, oh, well, you know what? Somebody will save me from whatever the fuck happens. Let's face it. I have no... I don't have a pension. I don't have a 401k. I don't have savings. I don't. I mean, every dime I have gets churned back into the experience of staying alive. And that's just the way it is. I don't say that in any sort of boo-hoo way. I'm sure a lot of you are very close to the same thing. And so I anticipate, as I've talked about before, if I once it's settled outside, I told you I've got heart disease, I've got diabetes and cancer. The three of them are rolling around outside in a fight, constantly outside my door, trying to figure out who gets first crack at me. And when that happens, and I do the inevitable GoFundMe, it won't be to stay alive. It will be to fund a party for people who want to fucking be happy that I used to be alive. You know what I mean? Like, our whole health plan in this country for a lot of people is GoFundMe or whatever the fuck, and because there are others that, like, it's funny how GoFundMe has become the Kleenex of the online money raising area, because there's plenty of others that do it. I got to be honest, I'm always weirded out because GoFundMe is like the gold standard, so to speak. But then I'll see someone and they'll be like, oh yeah, if you be like, mylifesinTrouble.com, you can send me $10. I'm like, what is this fly-by-night organization? Those places, because GoFundMe is legit. Like, I've used it. I've been incredibly lucky that people wanted to support me, and I've received the funds from those people. But like, hey man, I'm fucking ruined.com. That just sounds like the payday loan companies of GoFundMe. You know what I mean? They're just like these offshoots, and they're going to fuck everybody if you give them that money. And I'm like, all right. It's like, I do Patreon, and which, anybody who supported me on there, you're very kind. Thank you. But then I'll see people online and like, buy me a coffee, Ko-Fi app. I'm like, what is that for? I don't even know. Like, does that money just go into a well? I don't have no fucking idea if that's real. I had a guy, I think I told you this when my mom died, I went to Florida and I left one of my favorite hoodies in the Uber driver's car in Florida. And it was bought for me by Seth and Tracy's listeners of the show. And it had Schmidt 40 on the back. It was a Blackhawks hoodie. And I contacted Uber and they put me in contact with him. And this guy, to his credit, he was, some fucking Somalian dude. He was whatever. He was super kind. Nigerian, maybe. I don't know what the fuck he was from. He wasn't from here. And this dude sent me my hoodie long distance. Like, sent it to me. And but the weird thing was, I was like, hey man, do you have like a fucking, like, what do you use? And he's like, oh, I have Cash App. I go, do you have PayPal? Do you have Zelle? And he's like, I have Cash App. And I don't know. I don't have a fucking idea what Cash App is. And already, when you've got, my bank account information is all over the fucking place. It might as well be on a billboard at this point. And then you'll get that email where you're like, your account was compromised. Every 2 months you get it from some other place because your bank account is like Apple TV or, Criterion or all these different places that charge you money. They have your fucking stuff on file. And then you'll get a note where they're like, there's been a data breach. Sorry about that. Because you wanted to watch a Vincent Price black and white horror film for Halloween. Someone now has your banking information. So live in terror that you didn't experience during the movie, but now you can experience in real life because someone may steal your last $400. But this dude had Cash App, and so I had to put my bank information in there to send him, because I paid him back for what he sent me. And then, of course, I gave him a fucking tip on top of it. Because he did not have to fucking do that. I mean, I'm an Uber driver and people leave shit in my car and I do my best to get it back to them, but I'm also not going to rush into fucking doing it. I had a chick leave her fucking phone and wallet, like a big keychain with a phone, wallet, the whole bit in my car. And then, 2 hours later, they call me in a panic. Well, it's 3 a.m. and I'm driving, man. There's nothing I can do about it yet. And then they panic, they call Uber, and then Uber texts me. And I'm like, listen, man, this is the bad thing about the quote unquote gig economy. I'm working. I'm not going to drop everything that I'm fucking doing to bring you your phone because you fucking forgot it. Eventually I'll try to get it back to you if you can meet me halfway and we can figure it out. Because that's another thing. People, look, man, cash talks. Like if you're like, hey man, I'll give you $50 to bring my phone right now. I'm on my way. But if you're just like, yeah, man, can you bring me my phone? Well, no, I can't. I'm all the way across town. I'm downtown now. You live by the fucking west side. I can't do it. And these are young girls, and I felt bad for them. And I will tell you, they were wearing their hot fucking Halloween costumes. So like they're in G-strings and shit. Well, of course you're going to forget your wallet because you don't have any fucking where to put it. And I felt terrible. I did. And I just happened to be on that side of town again at like 4:30 in the morning, and I texted and they were up. And I don't doubt that they were up because they were freaking out because her phone, your phone's $1,600. And then her wallet, whatever the fuck else. I didn't go through it, but I mean, you can't let all your ID and shit go away. But it's that thing where they just expect you to fucking drop everything and bring it to. No, I can't. I had a dude, get this. I had a dude leave weed in my car. Fucking, they had just, him and his boy were, I don't know if they were planning a big night or whatever the fuck, but it was weed with the fucking papers, the whole bit. It's in the bag. And I gotta stop saying the whole bit, by the way. That's my new crutch. And it's in the bag and I didn't see it. And then like, I think it was an hour and a half later, again, a text from Uber. They go, he left something. And I look in the back, and I've had riders the whole time who never said anything. And I look, and there's a bag in the back, and it's got weed in it. And I texted Uber. I said, yeah, I think I found a package, but I never heard from them again. I just threw it out. I mean, I don't, because that's, I'm not that guy. I'm not a weed guy. And also, I got to be honest with you, man. No offense, but you're fucked. I'm not running to bring you your weed, because all of a sudden that brings me from Uber driver doing a favor to mule or courier of illicit substances. I can't be just driving weed across the fucking country for you. The country? It seems strong. Probably the city, I would imagine. I don't know how I spun off into that shit. But I mean, we're all very close to bad things happening. So as a poor person, like there's some vulnerability there. And after, so, the Hillary thing happened, and then he acted like a fuckhead for 4 years, and all the dumb shit and the pandemic and this is in the bleach thing, all of it. And it was, you can look at it now and say people overreacted. But again, that's social media. People overreact to fucking everything. Was he a fucking clown? Yes. Is he still a fucking clown? Yeah, he is. Is he a dangerous clown? I think by surrounding himself with the people he surrounds himself with and the idea of narcissistic revenge, yeah, I think he's a dangerous fucking clown. But I will tell you this, in 2016, like I was gobsmacked by it, and I kept finding myself overwhelmed. Like, not overwhelmed, fuck, that's a wrong word. Just shocked. Like, I figured, like I said, it was a bunch of internet trolls got together and voted a guy president. And I was like, well, this is fucking stupid. Like, and it made me kind of go, well, I guess we're susceptible to fucking ridiculousness any at all times, I suppose. And then it came along to 2020, and I didn't vote for Biden in the primary. He wasn't my guy. But in the general, of course, because and there was a huge, as you know, a groundswell to like, look, man, he's not him. You got to vote for him. And then we were fed all this stuff. Biden's a career politician, and he's someone who can bring some sanity and restore something and some sort of respect, whatever the fuck. All I gave a fuck about was that he wasn't the idiot. You know what I mean? He wasn't Trump. And I was like, fuck it. Yeah, I'll vote for him for that reason. And as you saw, like 80 million other people did too. And then Trump pouted, wouldn't meet him at the fucking, to turn over power, and fucking took off on his plane. And then in my brain, I was like, all right, this guy's like mid 70s. Like, it would be great if he fucking died and we didn't have to deal with this anymore. But if instead of that, he just became emboldened, and it got stronger and stronger. And he he'd been impeached twice, and then he was tried for the documents. And it was this thing where it was just, as you know, exhausting, never ending. And it's part of, I don't even want, people are all like, that's part of his strategy and all this. I have to be honest. I've even said that before, but I don't even think it's part of his strategy. That's just fucking who he is. He is a nonstop bullshit trebuchet. He just fucking launches shit all the time, and you have to fight through it. You just have to constantly keep coming forward. It's like, you ever see those weathermen in a hurricane, and they try to walk forward with wind and rain in their fucking face, and they can barely do it, and they're struggling, and they're trying to live? That's everyone in Trump's orbit who disagrees with him. I'm sure even the people who agree with him find him a handful, but if you disagree with him, he's constantly throwing this, he's throwing, and I have to say this, I will say, at his age, certainly, but also just as a person, I have to admit that there is a certain amount of admiration I have for someone who is relentless and won't fucking stop. Now, I don't agree with the things he's trying to do, but he never stops trying to do them. 1 a.m, 2 a.m, fucking 2-paragraph tweets, fucking yelling, doing those rallies where he talks for 2 hours. And look, people indulge him and he talks about fucking all sorts of bullshit and windmills and fucking Hannibal Lecter. I think all of it is stupid. I think he's a fucking joke. But there is something to be said about the fact that he never fucking stops. And he's possessed. He's possessed by the need to keep himself out of jail. He had to win, but also he's convinced himself he was wronged in 2020. And so he was going to fucking reclaim it. He was going to make it work. And the mistake I made was in thinking that after 8 years, people would be tired of it. Like I see a guy wearing more makeup than your standard Ringling Brothers clown, fucking standing at a podium and talking about windmills and your toilet doesn't flush the right way, and calling people and calling your opponent, basically calling her a bitch, and they run a C-word campaign, and he calls Biden a retard, like all these different things. And I see that, right? And I think to myself, well, clearly, civility, for lack of a better word, will win out. Clearly, people will, after being exposed to this, because the Chinese water torture, drip, 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 drip. And I don't even know if it's Chinese. I don't know if that's out of pocket or whatever the fuck, but water torture, where not waterboarding, where they fucking just pour water over your face with a fucking sack on your head. I know a lot about water torture. But the other one, where you're sitting in a chair and they just drip things on your head. I saw Batman get through it in the 60s TV series. Like they were dropping like pebbles off of his head. And it's supposedly after a while, it just drives you crazy. Well, imagine a combination of waterboarding and the water torture of one pebble at a time on your head, where you're just constantly underwater trying to navigate a whirlpool created by a guy who won't stop. Like, just continue. I have to admire his energy. I have to, again, at 78, I know that's ridiculous to say. And I know he was absolutely emboldened by the idea that if he won, he wouldn't have to go to fucking jail. And believe me, that'll light a fire under your ass. That'll make you go, well, fuck, I got to make sure I don't go to fucking prison. But there's something Roy Cohn taught him about a constant blaring siren. Because he also, it's, frog in the pot of water. If you hear a car alarm in your neighborhood, you're like, fuck, man, what the fuck with that car alarm? And if someone doesn't turn it off for 10 minutes, you're like, Jesus, fuck, who's going to turn off this car alarm? And after a half hour, you're just watching TV. You don't even think about the car alarm anymore. And he's that for 8 years. And also I will pivot to this too. And I think I might have talked about it on here, but if I have or haven't, whatever the fuck, I think it's worth stating again. Do I think he's dangerous? I think he surrounds himself with people that are dangerous and can't wait to do dangerous things. I think there are people, fucking Christian assholes and everybody like that, who want to shove this country back into 1950. I believe that. And I think they figure with him constantly throwing 47 balls in the air to juggle, they can do the shit behind the scenes because everybody will be mad at him. And you know what? For the first 4 years, seemed like a pretty good strategy, except they couldn't get their shit together. But he would just do shit. And because of Twitter and social media and Facebook and everything, everybody basically declared themselves a stand-up comedian. So he would say something, and then you would just get this avalanche of fucking people making fun of it. Ha ha, dunking on him, making fun of it, making fun of it, making fun of it. And maybe not seeing the damage, not only what the act itself was doing, but also the normalizing of his crazy by making it the punchline to jokes. Because what you did, and I'm just as guilty, we taught people it was okay to laugh at the dumb and crazy shit he was doing. I stopped watching The Daily Show right after Jon Stewart left. Like, I didn't give a fuck about all the new people and all that. And I loved Colbert and Carell. Like, I loved it. I watched it every day. And it was fantastic. I loved the Colbert Report. I fucking loved it. I didn't watch his new show when he went to CBS because I loved the actual Colbert Report. I never watched John Oliver because I lost my appetite for those types of shows after The Daily Show and after the arrival of Trump, because all of those shows would do some story where they would interview Trump supporters who, you know, believed that monkeys could drive cars or whatever bullshit they came up with. And they would make them the star of a segment that everyone got to roll their eyes at and go, look at these fucking idiots. Well, the problem is once you start going, look at these fucking idiots, you start to kind of lessen the impact of every single segment because you're expecting these guys to just be idiots. And the presumption of idiocy is dangerous in this fucking country. You should be calling it out in a way where you're not mocking it and laughing at it and joking, because otherwise it just finds its way into the mainstream and you just go, yeah, those guys are just idiots. Don't mind them. Well, those idiots are going to do some fucking damage. I think, you know, Jon Stewart and John Oliver and all these guys who do these stand-up interviews with fucking, they're doing great harm because they will, in one note, they will show you a funny clip that's edited and they'll laugh about Project 2025 and they'll go, yeah, they're really going to do this. And they'll punch it as a punchline and everybody's like, ha 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 ha. And you're talking about, you know, people are going to die. People are going to have their rights taken away. And we're making that a punchline or a joke because, and you can say it's whistling by the graveyard. You can say it's neurofiddling as Rome burns. All the things are true. You know, we all inure ourselves so we don't feel the pain. We all try to make sure that if you point and laugh, it's easier than sitting down and crying because you can't fix it. So if you can't fix it, you make fun of it. But as I've said before, unfortunately, what that does is it turns us into a nation of people in the back row of the classroom throwing spitballs and joking while failing classes or other people get to do things that we can't stop. You know, and I've talked about that with like smart, even, you know, you pivot it and turn it around, like do a 180 on it. You know, the voters who support this sort of thing, the Republicans or the Trump stuff, to me, you know, they want to dumb people down. They want to destroy education. They want to, if you're smart, they make fun of you. You know, I've never heard it put better than I did from Chris Rock. Chris Rock, and I think Bigger and Blacker, or no, Bring the Pain possibly, is when he was talking about the black community and how, and the line was, in the black community, you get more respect coming out of prison than you do coming out of college. And he does the line where, oh, well, Mr. Books. Oh, you hear, Mr. Books? Well, let me ask you one thing, Mr. College. Let me ask you one thing, Mr. fucking Books. Can you kick my ass? And I don't know why people haven't realized that there's a ton of people in this country and that's it. Oh, you're so smart. Oh, you know books. Oh, whatever. And because again, with social media, you know, again, Dr. Fauci, Professor Hotez, all of these guys, because people started with the pandemic, didn't start with the pandemic, but it was certainly evident during the pandemic every day. We've talked about it. People were mad at medicine. People are mad because they recommended masks. People were wrong because they didn't get it right away. Oh, how come you can't fix this? Why can't you make it go right away? I guess you're stupid. Well, because science is never ending. There's constantly, you know, they were rushing to make a vaccine to prevent people from getting sick. Oh, some of these people are getting heart attacks. Can you believe that? They're fucking dying. Well, yeah, but they would have died of COVID, or some people could have died of COVID. No, it's just the fucking flu. Well, no, it wasn't. 1 million people died. I mean, and then that's what I mean is now you're just yelling at one another, yelling past one another, doing your own research and pretending that the other guy is right or wrong or whatever the fuck. It's all fucked. It's so fucked. Have you really kind of sat and looked at it? I think I told you guys this. Like, I had no faith. I felt this way for years. That I didn't think things were going to be fixed. There was a bandage put on it when they elected Biden, but then you saw Biden was going to be ineffectual. And I will say this, he's not as bad as people thought, because again, the economy, but they talk about the economy being good, but also people on the street aren't seeing it because things cost too much and rent is stupid and landlords and there's still so much to change and fix. And Trump just lied and said he was going to fix it. He can't change gas prices. He throws tariffs on China. Your TV's going to cost fucking $9,000. I mean, dude. But people liked hearing that. And so that was their move. And also, Democrats didn't do anything to fucking make people trust them. I mean, she mouthed some platitudes about helping people buy a house or whatever the fuck. But, she ran from July on, and I couldn't tell you any policy except for she was going to say strong against Gaza. And that's not a winning fucking argument. It just isn't. You know what's a winning argument? I'm not him. I talked about Tim Walz. I liked that guy. He landed with the weird thing. His first speech was amazing. And then out of nowhere, they just fucking sat on him. Because the debate, I guess, with J.D. Vance, they felt it didn't go as well as they wanted. So then they didn't let him speak. And I'm like, that's the dude who could talk to real people. They've painted her with she's a prosecutor from San Francisco, liberal fucking brush. And also she's a black woman, which unfortunately, as we know, there are people in this country who just won't vote for that, period. Even if she went door to door and handed out $1,000 bills, she's still not getting a vote. But Walz was a guy who I thought could have been an effective communicator, and they just fucking sat on him. They pushed him to the back. And I don't know. I just don't get it. And I told you, like I said, I thought she was going to win by 3 because I genuinely thought people would see the danger, or people would see that they wanted to get back to whatever can sort of be considered normal, at least in this country. Because as I said, look, Gaza, you're a one issue voter. I get it. It's a genocide and it's a terrible thing, and I don't support it. But at the same time, both sides were supporting the genocide, but one of the sides was going to ban books. We've talked about this. I mentioned it. And I don't understand how people didn't make that selection. And the mistake I made was thinking that it was going to be different. The mistake I made was in thinking that there were more people like me than there are like them. There are more people who cared about their fellow man or were empathetic and wanted to help people out. I felt that that people were going to this time recognize that you couldn't vote for somebody whose main talent is continually baffling you with bullshit. Not that all politicians don't baffle you with bullshit, but he's a different animal. He is relentless. He is a hurricane of fucking misinformation and garbage. And like I said, I applaud the effort. I respect it. Well, I don't applaud it. I respect it. I don't applaud it. But you know what? You know what I'll say? I will say what I learned last week. Because again, it's the same thing. It started to unfold, and I'm like, and they're giving us the map and the progressions and all the shit. And I didn't pay attention. I was with Pat because he was like, hey man, we'll get together and watch some election returns later and watch a movie. But by the time he got out of work, it was over. I mean, it was over. And when I say it was over, it was fucking over, because he won everything. He won the popular vote, I believe. They're still counting shit, but who the fuck knows? But as far as I'm concerned, he won the popular vote. He won every battleground state. And I have to be honest with you. It gave me real clarity. I know this is going to, again, please recognize, I know how this is going to sound coming out of the mouth of white guy, whatever the fuck. I felt like a weight was lifted off my shoulders. Because I had clarity finally that this is his country. I can't argue against that anymore. And so to be angry about it is foolish. There's no reason to be angry about it. There's no reason to be sad. There's reason to be sad, clearly, because this is not what I thought, or it's become something I never thought it would. But this country belongs to him and them. I think he's a fucking idiot. But he is now, in my opinion, after 8 years of what he's gone through, he's a focused idiot. And I think the real trouble is going to come from like the Heritage Foundation, church psychos, those fucking dudes, that Project 2025. When you got Steve Miller and all these other, not Steve Miller from Fly Like an Eagle, although I wish he was in the cabinet. Why not? And also he might have a chance. Would you see who he's fucking naming at this point? Holy shit. But when Stephen Miller and all these other dudes just want to take revenge on everyone for the past 4 years, it's not great, man. He's going to be the fuckhead who annoys everybody. He's the front man with bluster and bullshit for the next 4 years. And then these guys behind the scenes are going to tear it apart. And I thought that the last time, but they couldn't get their shit together because he won. It was like a dog catching a car. And he's like, what the fuck do I do now? Well, now he's been preparing 8 years, certainly for the second term and 4 years to get back in and fucking drop the hammer on everybody. And am I worried about that? I don't know. I got to be honest with you. I don't think I'm worried. I know that sounds ridiculous. I think whatever happens, people fucking deserve it. And this guy has a fucking majority. It's his country. I can't explain it any way anymore. I used to think it was a faction of like people, just like a small group. But this isn't the Tea Party. This isn't the John Birch Society. This is a majority of the voting public who they're the voting majority. They think it's okay to marginalize the poor and people of different lifestyles. They don't mind seeing unions get killed. They don't mind seeing homeless people get abused. They see women have all their rights taken away, healthcare stripped to the bone, and they're happy with it. They're fine. As long as he saves them money on eggs or he hurts the people they want to hurt. It's not a pack of fucking loons. It's not crazy people. I used to think that, but it's not. It's the majority. And knowing that has taken away my shock and anger in all of this. I'm not, surprised, yes, because there's a great scene in The Big Short where Ryan Gosling is trying to get Steve Carell and his hedge fund on board with the housing market about to collapse. And they finally buy into it. And so then, as it keeps getting worse and worse, and they refuse to lower the bond rating, they call him into the office and they're fucking screaming at him. And he goes, hey, you call yourselves cynical people, but only the character Jeremy Strong plays, he goes, only he believes it. He goes, you guys still think there's some hope here. There's not. He goes, I'm telling you, hold the course and we'll all make this fucking money, because he saw it coming. And I feel like the guys on the other end of that speech, I think I'm cynical. I've said to you, I have no hope. I don't think anything gets fixed. I don't think anything changes, but I still had hope that there were people who would have empathy for groups that need it and wouldn't let their pocketbook be the driving force in how they voted. And also look, and Democrats stood by and let this fucking happen. All right. Please don't think that I'm giving them a fucking pass. Biden could have codified Roe his first day in office. They didn't do a fucking thing. Obama had the Senate and the House and didn't do anything. I'm fucking angry about all of that, but not really. This country belongs to them. And I'll tell you this, I don't want to hear any more fucking shit about how hard we have to work to get to the place we want to be. People were working fucking hard. After the election in the last week, I've received 10 texts asking for money. And they're always contain the same phrase or some version of this phrase. All right, guys, now the real work begins. Fuck you. Now the real work begins. Oh, does it? Oh, is it now time to roll up our sleeves and put our nose to the grindstone now that you once again fumbled the ball at the fucking 40-yard line and let the other guys run it back for 5 touchdowns, you fucking idiots? And you can't... No more of this. This is the most important election of our lifetime bullshit. This is all, I bought it. Look, and I recognize this. I have high-priced eggs all over my fucking face because I bought it. I believed in it. And it's wrong. Because let me tell you something. If you were going to tell me that this dude was Hitler and these guys are Nazis, and I talked a couple times ago, you can't keep using that word. You can't keep throwing it around, because then, like I said about those political comedy shows, you're just lessening the blow. If you take meaning from the word Nazi, what have you done? That should be the end all be all, right? Now, there are far right Nazis involved in this, clearly. Do I think Trump's a Nazi? No, I think he's a guy who really only gives a shit about himself and is willing to use and align himself with anybody who will get him the goals that he needs, which is fucking money. And I recognize that this country is filled with a bunch of people who think he's the Messiah. And I used to think that was crazy. Do I still think it's crazy? Yes. But I used to too. I don't, you tell me that now the real work begins because, again, this was the election of our lifetime. And then you told me he was a Nazi and the danger to democracy and he was going to destroy everything. And then the other day, Chuck Schumer, who is not on the Guys I Fucked podcast, but he gives a speech on the floor of the Senate congratulating Donald Trump for his win and talking about the peaceful transfer of power. Oh, really? Oh, really, Neville Chamberlain? Is that the role you're playing in this passion play you've created? Because you told me that not only was he Hitler, perhaps he was super Hitler. There's like a cape with a mustache on it. I mean, I was told this was the guy that was going to ruin everything and destroy America. And let me put it this way. He might. The stuff that they want to do and the stuff that they're in the process of doing, I mean, it's cracking me up. I have to be honest with you. Like I said, I'm not angry. I'm not shocked. I'm not even shocked. The way it went down is the way it went down. And like I said, it gave me this enormous, almost relief where I went, you know what? I voted and, you know what? My guy lost or my woman lost. And now I'm going to get some tacos. The weight has been removed from my shoulders. That whole laser-like focus of every day going, we need to do this, we need to beat him and all this stuff. Now Chuck Schumer congratulates this motherfucker? So maybe this wasn't the destructive election of our lifetime. Maybe he's just going to be another president. No, I don't believe that. I think he's going to do some real damage. But you can't convince me anymore because for years you told me he had to be stopped. And then when it stopped, you shake his hand. Biden shook his hand. Biden sat him down and shook hands with him. And look, now there's a non-zero chance that Biden thought that was Ernie from Sesame Street or Tony the Tiger or some other orange dude. I mean, Biden's fucking gone. We know this. And yes, I was willing to vote for him even though he was gone because he wasn't the other guy who I felt was going to do damage and destroy things. And I was like, well, the handlers will figure something out with Biden if he wins and he'll step down and Kamala will get the office, whatever the fuck. And then he stepped down anyway. And then she stepped in. I was voting not him. And I'll do it again. Because again, he's going to run when he's 82 because his genes are ridiculous. Didn't his dad live to be 105 or whatever the fuck? It's over, man. It's fucking over. It is. I don't know. I keep hearing everybody telling me we need to work now, and people couldn't even fucking vote. They didn't get up and they didn't go, and so it's his country. I cannot express that enough. And that's just the way it is. I know people vote for money and people vote for the economy, but I will tell you what this election showed me is people will vote for who I consider to be the worst fucking person in the world if they think they can make $100. Everything we heard about his last term in office, he had fucking generals that stopped him from ordering the army to fire on our own citizens at a protest. I mean, everybody told fucking Deep Throat or the guys from Woodward and Bernstein, whoever the fuck wrote a book, that he's a terrible guy, he's a fascist, he's a monster, and he threw a Diet Coke and a plate of ketchup. All these stories came out later in a book. Nobody told them when it was happening, of course. They all fucking waited. And there are people that are fine with that if it saves them 75 cents on a dozen eggs. These people are banning and burning books. They've taken away affirmative action. They're coming after interracial marriage and birth control. And you could think I'm crazy, but I don't think I am. But this is who they are, and people want it. I'm not shocked or even mad about it. People have made it clear this is not an altruistic society. It's a give me mine, fuck these other dudes society. And there's clarity in that for me. There's kind of a liberation. I talk to people about homelessness all the time when I'm in the car, and I told you, I always say you can't fix it because you need a ton of money. But you also have to successfully convince people that homeless people are not the enemy. For years, we've been told that they're a burden, a nuisance. We can't get rid of them, the homeless. And so now they're looked at like bugs. So people don't have any appetite for helping them with money or anything else. Well, now they're taking that strategy about the homeless and they're applying it to the working poor and the LGBTQ community and immigrants. And you know what? It fucking worked. It worked. Because there are people who look at people as less than and they don't give a fuck. And that's that. Again, I can't tell you that I'm furious or I'm really mad or I'm not. I got to be honest with you, I'm at peace with this whole fucking thing. Because I'll read some books and watch some movies and enjoy football and baseball and whatever the fuck happens. I'm honestly looking at it with this weird detachment where the shit that's going on this week, because again, even California is no safe haven. I told you last week that the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association was they were the be all end all of what you should be against, right? Well, the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association has won. They everything that I voted against that they wanted, they got. In California, they voted no to raising the minimum wage. They voted no against rent control. They voted no against banning prisoners from having to do jobs like fight wildfires and shit, which is essentially involuntary servitude. People voted no against banning it. People voted yes to raising the sentences for drug and theft crimes. Because remember the smash and grabs I told you about? People see those and they're like, oh my, well, we could probably stop them if we put them in jail for 30 fucking years. Because if people think they have some sort of modicum of control if they give the police that much more leeway. And I'm not anti-police. I'm not that guy. You know what I mean? I'm not an all cops are bad guy. I know cops. Are cops bad when they kneel on a guy's fucking neck or they shoot some old man in the chest? Yeah, that's fucked up. When they kick a woman's door in who hasn't even done anything and they gun her down in her bed? Yeah, fuck that. That's terrible. But then when you start saying something about like all cops are bad, all of a sudden you're like, well, wait a minute. Now, because that's not true. And now you're causing issues because then you make it look like you want a world of lawlessness, man. And look, maybe my thinking's evolved on this. I might have alluded to it in the past where you can get into a mood where you're like, you know what? Yeah, maybe all cops are fucking bad. When you see some guy shoot a beanbag into a photographer's face and the guy loses an eye at a protest that nobody's really acting up at. When you see guys getting kettled into a fucking beatdown from cops on the street in New York, you're like, yeah, that's fucked. But I don't live that life and I don't have that job, so I don't fucking know. I can't speak to it. And that's the danger of coming in here and talking to you guys, because, and not even a danger. It's just that I can't speak to that experience. I think it's fucked when cops do shit that's bad. But it doesn't mean that I think there should be no cops because you get people like that all the time. They're like, yeah, man, no cops. You should just let, what are the fuck, social workers. And I think I was on board with that. Social workers go talk to people instead of just gunning them down in the street or shooting a guy in the leg or whatever the fuck. But, I mean, I don't know. Is that working? I have no idea. Did it even get passed in some places? No. I mean, they're not sending service. Because again, if you got 30 guys stealing watches from Nordstrom's, you can't exactly send a psychotherapist out there to go, hey, fellas, was this about your childhood? No, man, we just want some bulivas. They drive away. I don't fucking know. But people out here voted to raise sentences for crime. And, I look, I'm not a criminal. So I can't be like, yeah, I'm pro-criminal. But also I'm not a cop and I can't be anti-cop and I can't be pro-cop. It's the world is filled with fucking gray areas. That's all it is. Because if you take one side, then it seems to be antithetical to the other side you support, and you just find your whole head spins. Your whole head spins. It's a world of non-linear black and white choices. You can support this or but not that. Like, there are people out there who voted for this. Their one issue is that trans people shouldn't play volleyball in women's leagues, and people, that was their one issue for voting. And I'm like, what the fuck does that? What does that do for the country? Who does that hurt? I don't give a shit if a trans person plays volleyball or wants to live their life, and they should. Everybody should be, just don't harm anybody. Don't do anything. I don't understand this thing where people make their issue the marginalizing or the hurting of certain groups. It's fucking, and I can't even say, oh, it's terrifying or whatever, because I'm also sick of that. For a week now, I see people on social media, they're like, oh, every morning I cry. Like I keep waking up and I'm crying. And I'm like, all right, well, I don't know what to tell you. I wake up and I make eggs. Are things bad? Yes. But I mean, are you that fucking fragile that you're going to fucking fall apart every other goddamn time? And like I said, I see all the shit that's going on. I see the people that he's naming to fucking, like he names fucking Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, a guy with a Jerusalem cross tattoo. A guy who, if I read it correctly, like he was passed over for promotion because guys didn't agree with his actions in the field. He's a major in the National Guard and he's running the entire Defense Department. Okay. I can't even, like, it's like, because there are people who are outraged. They're furious by it. I'm like, yeah, I'm not in the military, so it doesn't affect me until the military comes to my house and wants to sleep in here because their Hessians are under the fuck because they made a new rule. I don't know. But I can't, I'm my anger for this. This is what people wanted. This is their country. People want that guy as a Secretary of Defense. Matt Gaetz is the Attorney General. Matt Gaetz, who banged a 17-year-old And there's a report on it. They have like proof, text messages, all sorts of shit. And there are people who are upset because they're like, oh man, I can't believe, if people just could hear this report, they'd understand that Matt Gaetz is a bad guy. Hey, look, man, people know Matt Gaetz is a bad fucking guy and they don't care. He still keeps getting voted in his district. Why is the rest of the country supposed to enforce his fucking district? There are people who like jagoffs and people who are rooting for it. They think it's funny, they think it's good, or whatever the fuck. They do it to upset the libs or whatever the fuck, or own them, or haha, you mad, bro, whatever the fuck. And also, Matt Gaetz fucked a 17-year-old. I got news for you. A ton of the fucking people who voted for Trump aren't going to care that he fucked a 17-year-old. You know what they're going to ask? Was she hot? That's what they're going to ask. Because that's who we are. Huckabee's in charge of, he's the ambassador to Israel. This is a guy who's on record as saying Palestine shouldn't exist and there is no West Bank. But good job there, guys who sent a protest vote toward Kamala Harris to teach her a lesson in some way. I don't know. I see now, like, it's funny, Muslims against Harris are upset with the cabinet picks. And I'm like, oh, okay, fellas. Well, weird that you didn't see that coming. Because I'll tell you what, the guy you did, or maybe you made it for Jill Stein, might have been Jill Stein from fucking Time Magazine, but maybe you would have for Jill Stein. Time Magazine doesn't even exist anymore. Jill Stein, because you wanted to send a protest and you wanted to send a message. You know who that helped win? The guy who's one of his greatest hits was the Muslim ban. You guys are Muslims. Did that affect you in any way? Anybody you know? I remember during his first presidency when there was a fucking run on the airports of professors and anybody who could translate Farsi because there were people being kicked out of the country and not knowing why. They were naturalized citizens or whatever. And they were being sent away because of whatever the fuck, or their visas expired. Who fucking knows? I don't know. All I know is it was the Muslim ban was a big deal. And now you guys, Muslims, because you're upset about Gaza, you were like, yeah, we're going to, and now you're mad about the cabinet picks. This is what you fucking picked, man. Rubio's the Secretary of State. I don't even give a fuck about Rubio as Secretary of State. He's weak, he's ineffectual, whatever the fuck. But here's my favorite part. When they said Rubio was going to run Secretary of State, there are a ton of people who are pressuring Ron DeSantis to name Laura Trump as his replacement. She's going to be a senator. Her whole fucking thing is going on Fox News and doing commentary about her dad or her fucking his father-in-law. And now they're going to make her senator because she's, fucking qualified. But oh well, give me the popcorn. Tulsi Gabbard, I've been told, is a Russian asset. She's now the head of national intelligence. I'm supposed to be upset about that for some reason. I guess because eventually the Russians will paratroop into here, and we'll have to get the Wolverines together, and Patrick Swayze's dead, so we have no chance of winning. I don't know. But I, again, like I said, I'm just going to fucking get a soda and watch. I told the story in here a long time ago. Not even a story. I mentioned when the when the earthquakes hit Japan, and there was the tsunami. It was the tsunami that hit Japan, and then eventually the nuclear reactor got trashed. But there was live footage on CNN of the fucking tsunami, and I was watching it like it was a disaster movie. And in the middle of it, I was married at the time, and Karen was like, "Hey, I'm hungry. We got to get dinner." I said, "You want to get a pizza and bring it back?" She said, "Sure." I paused the destruction of certain areas of Japan to go get a pizza so I could come back and enjoy it while I watched the further destruction of certain areas of Japan. And I'm in that headspace now, man. I see Latinos who are confident that he won't come after them because they're legal or whatever. And then you see another guy who has worked with them. I don't know if he has an official position yet, but he's like, we'll come for their kids. Like, we might not come for them, but certainly their kids. Like, they've made it known that naturalized citizens doesn't matter to them. They're coming. Like I said, they're coming for interracial marriage. They're coming for birth control. And everybody knew this. It was in that Project 2025 that he tried to lie that he wasn't going to promote. I mean, and people still voted for it. He's floated the idea of reparations for white students who were victimized by DEI or affirmative action. That sounds like an Onion article, but that's real. I don't know if he's going to do it. I don't know if he's going to get the votes or if he's going to have the balls to even make it into a bill or whatever the fuck. But he's proposed it. The very fact he would float the idea of reparations for white students, how the fuck do you think that's going to play to the general populace? It doesn't matter to the general populace because the majority of people in this fucking country who bothered to fucking vote voted for it. They're happy to get reparations for white people. I see a lot of stuff online about incels, and then these people are trying to say that women should be forced to have sex with men because men are lonely or sad. I'm not joking. There's a movement where people are like, these women, because they always choose the top 1% of men, and it leaves all these other men lonely and sad, and so they're incels and they're upset. And if there was a way that these women who are even not in the league of the 1% of men, if they could just be forced to like pick from their gene pool, or their if a woman is some arbitrary number like a 5, they could only sleep with 5s or below. Like, these people genuinely say this and act like it's a real thing. I'm gonna sneeze. Like there's a. And it is all message board nonsense, but there are guys who've invested in it as if something like that could possibly happen. I guess you'd have to set up a rape camp. I don't know what you would call it. A legal brothel. Who knows, man? But again, they'd want to eliminate the money part of it because women owe them sex. Now that, I will tell you, reading those things, you're just shaking your head because you're like, this can't be real, but it is. There are people who feel that way. Now, they're nuts, but it doesn't mean that brand of nuttery won't somehow find some sort of support from one fucking key guy like Stephen Miller or somebody in the system, and they make a bill for it. Reparations for white students. Monthly sex for incels. Who the fuck knows? And I know when I say this, by the way, this is some, bullshit scare tactic nonsense. I don't want to believe that shit could happen, but also I'm in the place now where anything could fucking happen. Like I said, I used to think that this was a small, loud, motivated group of people. And it's not. I think they're loud and motivated, but they're not small at all. And they won this fucking thing. And he won the popular vote. And this is a fucking idiot who sits there. He's got so much, he's wearing all the fucking makeup. He pretends that he's tough and he's not. It's so weird. And look, and I say these things, these are just my opinions, because there's a million people out there who think he's a fucking muscle man. They think he's a hard ass. And he's going to, in my opinion, he's going to govern like one. I think he has a mandate. There are these people who are like, oh, he doesn't have a mandate. At the margin was so slight. It doesn't fucking matter, man. It doesn't matter. And the thing I like too now is not his name Gates and Gabbard and Rubio. There are all these people who are like, oh my God, these are terrible choices. And I love them, the senators who are anonymously, of course. They're like, I got at least 10 senators who won't vote for Gates. Like, this is never going to happen. And then when it's going to come to a vote, it's going to happen. He's going to win. Because they have nowhere to go. This is the guy they backed, and they have to back him to the fucking end. Do you think there's going to be any legitimate Republican group or even one guy who's going to stand up to Trump in fucking public after he won the fucking popular vote and everything else? I don't even know if they have the appetite to stand up to him, but even if they did, they're all such cowards politically that they would never take the chance. But also you can take solace in the fact that, Rubio used to be on the way, Widow Marco used to be on the outs, and now he's the Secretary of State. All of his fucking deep throating of Trump's cock has given him the position that he's always wanted, other than president, which he really wanted. I don't know, man. And I will tell you this, I'm still on X. People are like, you got to leave X, whatever the fuck. Hey man, I go to Twitter for sports and news. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'll tweet out a joke. I like following comedians. Do I think it's a hellhole? Yeah. But also you can choose to engage. If you choose to engage, then it's your own fault. I block people all the fucking time. I don't fucking participate. I just can't. I can't find it in me to fight. There's no fucking reason, and particularly because you fight with those people and they can just point at the scoreboard. Like, if you want to go with the most basic thing, it's scoreboard. They won. They've won. They've taken this country. This is who this country is. And I'm not weeping tears. I'm not like fucking, oh no, or we got to save it, or now the real work begins. Fuck you. I don't want to hear that shit at all. I'm not sending you a dime. You want to do the work. And maybe you don't sit down with the guy after he kicks your ass and then you shake his hand after telling me that we needed desperately to keep him out of office. But now you lick spittles have got to come around because you want to keep your fucking donor money or your weird consultant jobs that you're going to get afterwards, your lobbyist bullshit. I don't I've said before, I don't want to sound like my uncles when I was a kid. These guys are bought and paid for. I'll tell you what, these fucking guys, they're no good. None of them. The mayors, the aldermen, all of them, all the way up to the president, man. They're so fucking bad. These guys are terrible. I'll give them $300 to fix a ticket. That'll tell you alone how bad these guys. I don't want to be that dude, but I have no fucking choice. You know. And on social media, I'm getting any number. I'm getting yelled at by any number of nose rings telling me that I let this happen. A lot of very angry people with pierced faces who are like, oh, yeah, white people, you fucking, now you've got the guy you wanted. Hey, man, I'm a white dude and I didn't want him. I didn't want him at all. But enough fucking other people couldn't get off and vote for him or got convinced to do a different thing. And also, I will say to people like that, yeah, it's probably terrifying for you because you realize that you're outnumbered. And it used to be in this country that there were gay people and there were Muslims and it was, the whole point, it was a melting pot. Everybody could live here. But then a certain amount of white people got scared. And they decided, just like in the old days, and they thought blacks were being uppity. Now they think these people don't know their fucking place. And, I've seen activists who are very loud and stating things that aren't true. Like when I said, when they want to ban all police, you're just like, all right, well, that's not real. But it doesn't matter because then the right-wing bullhorn gets it and the blowtorch of Fox News puts it out there. And then people across America think that, liberals or Democrats want to ban all police. And you're like, well, that's not the fucking way. And I will say this too. These people who pretend that, when they hear this stuff on Fox News and they just buy it as gospel, just like people who hear anything on MSNBC or CNN or whatever the fuck, and they don't read, they don't follow it. Like these people, these Muslim people who are upset with the cabinet picks. Hey man, did you not read about this guy? Did you not know who he was going to be? Did you not know that this was going to happen? Because if you didn't, then that's on you, man, because he's been very clear about who he is. He's never, when shit looks like it's going to blow against him, like the locker room talk thing with the fucking pussy grabbing, even though there was a group of people who thought, yeah, man, that's fucking awesome. Because there are people who voted for him just because they want to be rich and grab pussies. We know this. Just like there are people who voted for Harris because it's finally time a woman was in. Well, okay, but should it be a woman who's really qualified and ran a great campaign? Look, man, it's time. Shut up. You're anti-woman. Oh, okay. All right. And people are, I know people are upset because they're being told to shut up or whatever. But that's the thing. I don't. Everything is over, man. It just is. And I don't say that with some hiding under the blankets trepidation. I don't say it in some sort of, oh my gosh, what are we going to do type of way. Because again, I'm old and I'm going to take a knee and play out the string and see what happens. I'm almost watching America like a show now. Like I said, when I see all these people getting floated or being named and people getting angry and upset and then saying we got to do something about it, I'm like, hey man, people tried to do something about it and he won. This is what people want. Let's see after they get what they want if it's what they expected to get. You guys can get me at MikeandMikeSchmidtComedy.com. You guys can be my friend at Facebook.com/the40yearoldboy. You can be you can follow me at Twitter.com/the40yearoldboy or X.com/the40yearoldboy. My mouth's gummy. Hold on. You can follow me at Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat at Mike40YOB. And I will tell you this now, just because it exists. Let me see if I can pull up where's the address. I don't know if I can, but I might. Hold on, everybody. I'm at Blue Sky now. And I said I wouldn't be, but I am. Well, I never said I wouldn't be. Like, I just figured Twitter was the final one. And am I going to be on, Blue Sky doing all sorts of crazy. So I'm at Blue Sky. Here's where I'm at. It's Mike40YOB.bsky.social. Mike40YOB.bsky.social. I haven't posted on there in 8 months. But with the mass exodus from Twitter and everybody else, I'm being followed by a ton of people. Hold on, I have to turn the airplane mode back on because tonight is the Mike Tyson and Jake Paul fight, and I'm watching it on a delay, so I can't turn the radio on. I can't do anything with my life. So there I am. So I'm at Mike40YOB at Blue Sky, whatever the fuck. Go ahead and find me. Just put in Mike Schmidt. I'm sure you'll find me, and it's actually a picture of me, so you'll know it's me. I posted 8 months ago, but I've been getting followed. I've gained, I think 100 followers recently, just because people they're leaving other places, and I don't blame them. So perhaps I'll be active on there because I keep thinking I should be active. I should do more things. And here we are. So I'm a little late this week and I apologize for the show. But I mean, again, I've been in the fucking car like a psychopath. And you know what? I will tell you about life next time. If there is a next time. I don't know if you've heard the country is collapsing. Shut the fuck up. And I feel that, maybe over the last 8 years, I will say this. I don't think I overreacted to the danger that he presented, but I think I overreacted because I personally dislike him so much. And I think that the first 4 years he did a ton of terrible shit. But I do think, like I said, now though, I think this is the revenge tour. What the fuck am I even talking about? Who cares? Get some popcorn, get a pizza, and watch the destruction. It'll be fine. So I'm at Blue Sky and Instagram and Snapchat and TikTok and all of those places. Go ahead and follow me. That'd be fantastic. I'd appreciate it. I think I'm still part of the Misfit Toys Co-op. Our good friends over at Never Funny are there. Go ahead and check it out. I understand that they were they might have been a little upset about what happened this past week. There's a lot of people that I know, a lot of my friends and stuff were, and then there are people who are like, whatever, and then I have friends who are like, well, my 401k is going to be great. And I'm like, yeah, I don't fucking get it. But I can no longer stand on the solid ground of I'm right and they're wrong. I instead now stand on a floor that's made of lava that tells me that, everything is in play, and I'm perhaps a stranger in a land that I don't recognize. But also, if you tear the fucking cover, this whole fucking country was built on slave labor, and maybe I'm the one who's been blind for a very long time. I don't know. All right, so the Misfit Toys Co-op, podcasts. I'm on Cameo. Who cares? But if you want me to send you a Cameo talking about this, sure you do. That's what you want. More politics from me. Isn't that great? I'll do it. I'll fucking do it. And then, I have a Patreon, patreon.com/Mike40YOB. The people who give to it are fantastic. And you're very nice to think of me. We have our good friends doing the Paranoid Strain podcast. That's our good friend, Fearful Jesuit. He just had an Art Bell show. You got to check it out. I used to love Art Bell. I would drive home from Vegas and listen to Art Bell in the desert. And that's about as close as I'm ever going to get to like communing with the crazies, because I fucking dug it. Because again, you're in the UFO, you're in the desert at UFOs, and who the fuck knows what could happen. And listening to Art Bell, and he was a fucking amazing broadcaster. Was he nuts? Is there all these different things? Yeah, probably. But it didn't matter, because what he did better than anybody had ever done it. And so go listen to Fearful Jesuit show about Art Bell. It's fucking fantastic. And our great friend David Hernandez does the Flemcat podcast. He does not mention Art Bell, I don't think. You know what he mentions? He mentions Bob Bell, who was Bozo, and he mentions Art Gerard, who I attended high school with. So there's kind of an Art and a Bell in there. Who knows? But go ahead and check it out. The Flemcat podcast is available wherever your finer podcasts are given out for free. The same thing with Paranoid Strain. Go ahead and check them out. Fearful Jesuit is the man. David is also the man. The two of them are the man. And you know what? I'm the man and you're the man and he's the fucking man. So take that finger and shove it up your fucking ass. Haha, Tool lyrics are always fun. I have a television channel called youtube.com/the40year-old boy. It's archives of this show and perhaps other things to come in the future. Who knows? Unless the jackboots come and shut me down. I don't know if you've heard. Super Nazi is in fucking office now. We lost the most crucial election of our lifetimes. And you know what? For some reason, I still have soup in my cabinet. And probably there's still soup in the kitchen, which I'll have to go eat, because when one more thing goes wrong, I'm out on the street. Whoa, living like a hobo to Springsteen songs. Also, youtube.com/the40year-old boy has a companion, twitch.tv/the40year-old boy. Now, here's the thing. Am I active on those? Not nearly as much as I should be. But follow me on both if you would, because then when it all lights up, when you're in your house and the TV turns itself on with a bunch of like staticky snow, your little niece Carol Ann can walk up to the TV and go, Mike's here, because I finally figured it out and started to do some stuff. So twitch.tv/the40year-old boy and youtube.com/the40year-old boy, Paranoid Strain, Flumcat, Never Not Funny, Cameo, Patreon, all of those things exist. And Who Wants a Noodle Noose is the name of this show. Although I guess I already told you that. If you're scared, I understand it. If you're sad, I really understand it. And if you're angry, I understand that more than anything. But all you can do is live the best life you can and be kind to people. That's it. I mean, it's like, and I don't mean this in sort of kumbaya and, oh my God, this isn't the Blitz. I'm not huddling in a fucking subway tunnel trying to avoid bombs. All right. I think it sucks. I think there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen that is not going to be great. And I have friends who may be right in the line of fire of that. And I will always be here if anybody needs my support. I don't have much I can give other than verbally and a shoulder. I can give you a hug and a talking to, whatever you need. I'm here. Find me. Because I feel the way you do. But also at the same time, I don't see it being worth the effort anymore. Because, I'm a stranger in a strange land. I don't recognize this place anymore. And again, I don't say that with these all sound like major pronouncements, but they're not. I'm not kidding when I say the next day I had clarity and I was like, yeah, it's fine. I mean, I get it now. This rattling of the sabers and being angry and hoping eventually it'll change. It's not going to happen. It's literally, it's like someone came along and pinched the wick of my lit candle. And now I'm just a trail of smoke that will come at you verbally every week. And I hope you'll keep coming back because anything that burns for you guys. And we'll get through this, right? And again, I say that like it's some fucking, who knows? I don't know. None of us know. We can all forecast doom and think it's going to be terrible. And it certainly didn't go the way that a lot of us wanted it to. And I recognize a lot of people out there are like smiling and spiking the football and having a great time. And that's fine. If you want to, if this is your guy, you got him. And enjoy all of those big savings on gas and eggs while people are fucking torn apart from their families. That's who we are. They should change the flag. They should take the stars off the flag and just put that laughing, crying emoji on there, because that's who the fuck we are at this point. All right, guys. See you next week.
If there's anything I like more than me, it's people who like me. I love me, but if you love me, I love you. 'Cause you know why, we both love me. How great am I? Let's talk about that for a while. And by a while, I mean forever.
Charlie Doe Podcast.